dedication.
Let us pray. Lord God, once again we approach your throne, thanking you for the wonderful weather that you provided for us today. We ask your blessing, God, upon this year's running of GoBowling at the Glen. Keep your hand of protection upon each driver, each course worker, and each crew member. Again, we ask that you grant us a safe race and help us to remember that all good things come from you. Amen.
Here to honor America with his performance of our national anthem, please welcome from the 380th Army Band, Sergeant First Class Keith Byer, accompanied by Kevin Gallagher from Empire Interpreting Service.
NASCAR's drive for the playoffs continues here today, and a sellout crowd is ready. 4,000 campsites, 37 drivers, only one winner. They fire the engines next.
was a beautiful day, the sun beat down, I had the radio on, I was driving, trees flew by, me and Del were singing, little runaway, I was flying, yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me, working on a mystery, going where it leads, running down a dream. Whoa, whoa. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me, running down a dream. Oh, yeah, running down a dream.
Welcome to the Go Bowling at the Glen, telecast presented by Applebee's. Energy here in Watkins Glen, New York, absolutely fantastic. It's time for last-minute thoughts and stories from the hardest-working pit reporters in the garage, beginning with Marty.
Well, Krista, these days, if there's an Elliott family member making NASCAR headlines, it's usually Chase driving this number 9 car. But yesterday, his Hall of Fame father, Bill Elliott, made headlines when he announced at 62 he would run the Xfinity Series race at Road America in a couple of weeks. But today, he has a job spotting for Chase through the inner loop, and he may very well witness Chase's first career win. If there was one car that could keep up with the 18, it was Chase Elliott, Kelly.
Denny Hamlin has had at least one win every year of his Cup career, but he's winless here in 2018. Could this be the place that changes all of that? Well, Denny Hamlin won this race back in 2016. He's had 5 straight top 10s on road course races, and oh, by the way, Dave, he starts from the pole position.
Kelly, racers have a lot of bucket list items, and even though Kyle Busch has won here 2 times, his crew chief Adam Stevens does not have a trophy from here with Kyle. It's on his to-do list for today, and it could very well happen. Hey, remember, you can't roll a strike until you get the ball rolling. So let's get the engines fired here at Watkins Glen.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, President of the New York State Bowling Proprietors Association, Scott McLaughlin.
Drivers, start your engines!
Fired up and ready. Fired, count 2 fired. Hope it's fired up. Yep, copy, count 2. Jump up.
What a great sound when the engines get fired up alongside crew chief Steve Letard. I'm Rick Allen, and we come to a racetrack where the setting is just so beautiful. The atmosphere here is incredible.
Yeah, it's not just beautiful, it's electric. The place is full. There are campers everywhere. Every seat has a person in it. It's a sellout. These guys have enjoyed the weekend. Now it's time to enjoy a great race.
So who will the fans see maybe excel today?
Well, I think the favorite has to be Kyle Busch. Not only has he had an outstanding 2018, winning 6 times, he knows how to win at a road course with 4 career road course wins. I think between that and the speed he's shown all weekend, he's the favorite. But 2 other names really jump out at me. The first, surprisingly, a winless Chase Elliott. Never has he gone to victory lane, but he finished in the top 5 at Sonoma. He's starting inside the top 10 today. He's had a decent car all weekend, so perhaps he can get his first career win at a road course just like his Hall of Fame father, Bill Elliott, did. And the other name, maybe not surprising at all, A.J. Allmendinger, the road course ace, also starts inside the top 10 in the 8th position. His only ever win came here back in 2014, his only career win. And at 158 points out of the playoff picture, Rick, I think he and his race team have to have this circled as a must-win to make the playoffs.
Well, that's 3 names that we'll be keeping our eye on, but there's 37 others out there that want to get to victory lane as well. We're going to be covering this race from a little different perspective. We're actually out on the race course. As a matter of fact, the S's will be covered by Mike Bagley. He will be taking care of 2, 3, and 4.
And there's so much action around the racetrack. After Mike Bagley, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will have the inner loop and into turn 5, the carousel, and then out of the carousel, they'll head to turn 6. Jeff Burton has turn 6 and 7 covered, Rick, and then you and I here on the front stretch.
They throw it right back to us. Let's welcome in the 3 guys who will be out on the track. Mike Bagley, you've got the S's. We are excited to hear you call all of the action as they climb up that area of the track.
And we're so glad to be here, Rick, and excited to be here. You talk about that climb, 125 feet worth from the bottom of turn number 2 to the top of turn number 4. Quite the elevation change as these drivers make their way through. We're going to talk a lot about curbing today. The curbing here, not your best friend in the S's. Ryan Newman found out the hard way during practice. He scrubbed that curbing, slung the car to the right and into the Armco barrier. Stay off the light blue curbing. And actually not the curbing, the wall. You hook the curbs, things get hooked. Things get going hot and heavy in a heartbeat. Get turned around, jamming up the field. That's a blind corner, that climb up through turn number 3 and off of turn number 4. They'll race down the back straightaway and into a very complex set of corners in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That's right. These guys are going to come down this back straightaway. They're going to come into the inner loop. Once they exit the inner loop, they go around this carousel and headed toward Jeff Burton in turn 6. But let's see some of the action from last year. Watch these guys arguing going into the inner loop, trying to disagree about who's going to get the position on that braking zone. It's going to create a lot of issues like this today. We're also going to see guys trying to use these curbs to straighten out the inner loop. That's the fast way to get through the inner loop. But it's also going to create problems for these guys. It can tear up their race car. It can also knock them loose, knock them into other competitors. So we're going to see guys use those curbs a lot in the inner loop. If they're not getting through the inner loop, they're going to have trouble in the carousel. You're going to see guys giving each other a lot of pressure through there like we saw yesterday in the Xfinity Series. Keselowski didn't get through the inner loop very well. Larson was able to give him a lot of pressure in the carousel. Those guys are going to have a lot of fun over here today. I'm going to have fun watching them. Then they head to Jeff Burton.
And I'm excited to see him come off that carousel onto the back straightaway because that's where the action starts, trying to position yourself for turn 6. And we've seen huge wrecks here. We've seen big impacts. You're going so fast, and then you hit that outer wall, and it careens you back into the straightaway right in front of ongoing traffic. That is something we've seen here time and time again. I was one of them. I wish I could forgive that one, but I can't. And then they come to turn 6, a battle for the win late in the race. Turn 6 and side by side in turn 7. Many times we've seen these two corners determine the winner of this race.
Yeah, Jeff, there have been fantastic finishes here at Watkins Glen. And on this perfect day, we would expect nothing less. A sold-out crowd at Watkins Glen International. Green flags next. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Applebee's. All you can eat riblets and chicken tenders. Progressive. Stay on track with great rates at progressive.com. And by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of NASCAR.
Caution's out, caution's out.
He'll score his first career win.
He runs out of fuel. Here comes the 22. Logano's going to win at the Glen. Denny Hamlin will win at the Glen.
Martin Truex Jr. will win at the Glen.
I've wanted to win here a long, long time. This is a special place.
And the field rolling around this 2.45 mile road course. Let's take a look at today's starting grid, brought to you by Applebee's. Up front, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Joe Gibbs Racing well represented in row one. Denny Hamlin, the 2016 winner here.
Well, perhaps a favorite to watch today, Chase Elliott starting inside row two next to the two-time winner, Martin Truex Jr. going for 3 in a row this week at the Glen.
Back in row three, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano making up that row. Logano winning back in 2015. Eric Almirola and A.J. Allmendinger will be in row four. 36-year-old out of California, 2014 winner here. Let's see if we can chat with A.J.
All right, let's try to light him up here there, Rick. Hey, A.J., it's Steve Letarte in the NBC booth. You got a copy, pal?
I got you, man.
Well, bud, it's always great to come back to a place where you've found success. You've won here before. How's the weekend been for you?
It's been a little bit up and down, trying to get the right balance of speed out of the Kroger Clickless Chevy's been a little bit of a challenge, but made some good changes going into qualifying to make it the second round, qualifying inside the top 10. Obviously, the Gibbs cars and Chase has been really fast. Kyle's always fast here, Kyle Larson. So got the work cut out for us. We might play a little bit of strategy, but we get up there with 5 laps to go. I'll make something happen.
Oh, I don't doubt it. But just be right to my second question. You can't come to a road course without your name being listed as a favorite. What makes you so good on these road courses?
I mean, some of it's my background. It's what I grew up doing. Guys are short track racers. Are really good at short tracks and things like that. This is what my nature's been. I think a driver can make more of a difference on a road course. Watkins Glen's tough. It's kind of a super speedway of road courses. So downforce and motor is a big deal here, and everybody's so good in the Cup Series now. So that gap has shrunk a little bit, but I still feel like when we're at our best as a race team, I'm at my best. I go out there and beat anybody.
Well, bud, we'd like to wish you good luck and say thank you for taking the time to talk to the fans right before you go into battle. I know they appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for everything you do. Packed house here at Watkins Glen as always. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. And, of course, as we're sitting here riding along with A.J. Allmendinger, he has the Kroger Click List on board, and he also has this great camera, which is the right front bumper. Right on the front of the bumper of this car, we're going to see that perspective.
Well, another great perspective is this. This is the Ford Performance onboard camera. Those are the feet of Kevin Harvick. They will be busy. It's only 7 turns, but those feet will be busy to get all the shifting done today. We're
going to be looking right back at Joey Logano with the Coca-Cola onboard camera. He is starting in the 6th position today.
Starting in the 2nd row, the 4th position. Martin Truex Jr. with the Toyota onboard camera. This camera right here shoots out the right side of Truex's car. We're going to see some other vehicles, perhaps some Armco as he goes up through the S's. It's going to be a great shot.
All right, Steve, let's break down this track.
Well, you heard AJ talk about it, strategy, and it all comes because of the way this race gets broken down. When you look at this track, we've talked about it, 7 turns, a 2.5-mile road course, 90 laps, a little over 220 miles. The first and second stage, both 20 laps in length. And that final stage, though, that's the long one, Rick, 50 laps. They cannot make that final stage on fuel. They can only go about 33 to 35 laps.
All right, it's time for today's Subway Fresh Take. Let's find Rutledge Wood.
Rick, I am here on the infield on top of the Tower Suites right after turn 1 as the cars are heading up the hill to the S's. And the great thing is I've got an incredible view, but I want to show you the view from the helicopter that really shows you exactly what these drivers are going to deal with going up the hill. First off, the reason that we call it the S's are because they are just that. It's a series of left-right turns. It looks like the letter S linked together. You're going to see Mike Bagley over there. Then as they head up the hill, they're going to go to what they call the inner loop or the bus stop. They call it that because it actually looks like you're pulling over to stop the bus, just like Mr. Swafford that picks up my daughter for school. Now, if you miss that turn, you got to come to a complete stop. Then you head up through the carousel. They call it that because it's just like the carousel you used to ride as a kid at the fair. The real question is, are you going to pick the horse that looks like a real horse or maybe a tiger, or are you going to end up looking like a donkey coming out of there sideways? Dale Jr. is going to be up there calling all that action. But those are some of the names you're going to hear as they're rolling through this track, putting on a great show for a packed house here. And then we got turn 6. They call it that because it's the 6th turn. 7, and then back to you guys, Rick, on the front stretch.
That was a pretty good lap.
I'm impressed. I mean, who knew you could get that many animals in a description of Watkins Glen?
He just did it. And this is one of the great tracks where a lot of strategy will come into play and so many storylines that are coming into play, as well as there are just 5 races to go until the playoffs. For more of the storylines, let's check back in with Marty Snyder.
Well, Rick, there have been some fantastic road course racers in the Cup Series over the years, from Terry Labonte to Rusty Wallace to Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart. So who is the new road course king? Well, how about Martin Truex Jr.? He's won 2 in a row at the road courses, and he told me this week it really should be 3 or 4 in a row. Their biggest key here, how good they are on old tires at the end of the run, and that will be huge today, Dave, with a 90-degree day here in Watkins Glen.
Marty, Kyle Larson needed to work something out of his system. It was going through the inner loop or the bus stop and not using the curbing and using the turns, actually blowing it, as they say. So yesterday in practice, he did it 3 times during the Xfinity race, which ended in engine failure, unfortunately for him. He got it right, and his crew hopes today he makes the bus stop every time. Kelly?
Kevin Harvick is already having a career year with 6 wins on the season and plenty of races left ahead. But this team told me they're not anywhere near being done. They'd like to win 10 races or more this season, and you have to respect Harvick's chances here at the Glen. He's one of just 3 drivers in this field to have won more than once on a road course race. All right, admittedly, though, they do have a little work cut out for him. Kevin Harvick qualified 15th, Rick.
Yeah, he's got a ways to go if he wants to catch up, but strategy comes into play for every single driver and team here. It could help him out. It could hurt him today. Denny Hamlin starts up front. Green flag when we come back. NASCAR Drive is your live race day companion. You can even watch multiple angles at once. Never miss a lap with NASCAR Drive. Visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download it at NASCAR mobile app.
The super speedway of road courses. We've seen some big wrecks there.
There are trouble spots around this track that the drivers will have to deal with.
If you don't do everything right, the little things will bite you and turn into a great big problem. I'm too old for this. It hurts too much.
Big crash, bud. Got dumped. Be done.
Told you something was up.
No spin, go high. Right front is tore up pretty bad.
Two by two working their way around this racetrack, and we just saw how many areas around the track that can cause problems for these drivers.
It is such a fast road course. It truly is the super speedway of road course racing. There are not a lot of slow corners. Turn 1 perhaps is the slowest, but there are straightaways at over 175 miles an hour into heavy braking zones and just not a lot of room. When there's an accident, it usually collects multiple cars. We've seen some huge impacts. It's like the calm before the storm right here, Rick.
I was trying to catch my breath.
Yeah, you need to.
I was breathing in what's about to happen here.
These drivers need to do the same thing, catch your breath. It may only seem like 90 laps. It may seem like a short race, but we heard Kyle Busch in the pre-race show talk about how grueling in this heat 90 laps will be.
Things happen so quickly here. They're going to get the green flag, accelerate as quick as they can, and then be slamming on the brakes because that is one of the first passing zones, turn 1, as they go downhill into turn 1. It's Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch making up row 1. Hamlin in the 11, Kyle Busch in the 18. We're underway from the Glen. Denny Hamlin has a great start on the inside, heading into turn number 1. Kyle Busch might be fighting for that second spot. Coming up on the inside, here comes Chase Elliott. They're headed your way.
Looking
Mike
three
Bagley.
wide for a moment. Kyle Busch has to back away. It's Denny Hamlin trying to hang on to the lead, but it's Chase Elliott to the outside, side by side for the lead for just a moment. Hamlin pulls away with the lead, but Chase Elliott stalks his every move as they exit turn number 4.
Heading into the inner loop, Kyle Busch looks out to the, oh, he's going for a pass on Chase Elliott. What a move. Incredible restart by Chase, but now he's back to 3rd as they come out of the inner loop. Everybody gets through their A-OK into the carousel. Awesome action so far as this race gets underway.
Now they head down the back straightaway. You can see Denny Hamlin did a great job. Kyle Busch with the fastest car all week. He's going to have to defend here quickly. Kyle's going to look to the inside, put some pressure on him, try to roll to the 11 car off turn 7 to build momentum to try to beat him down into turn 1.
And challenging for that spot. Here comes Kyle Busch. He looked to the outside, trying to set up Denny Hamlin as they come down the front stretch. Now he looks to the inside. Hamlin blocks. He moves to the inside. Hard on the brakes. Denny Hamlin trying to stay in front of that 18. Smoke coming out from behind the 11. Now he goes to the inside. Here comes Kyle Busch for the lead.
Hamlin swings way wide out of 1. That opens the inside line for Kyle Busch, and Kyle slips. Look 3 wide again for just a moment. Hamlin's able to hang on to the top spot. Hamlin in the 11 back to the lead. It's Kyle Busch in the 18, 3rd. And now Chase Elliott under fire from Martin Truex Jr. for 3rd.
Unbelievable racing at the start of this event. Side by side into the inner loop. You just don't see guys make that work. Still side by side on the exit. Kyle Busch is fighting so hard to take the lead here from Denny Hamlin as they go through the carousel. Oh! Denny Hamlin checks up and all the field has to check up behind him as they come out of the carousel.
Not sure there wasn't a little bit of contact there, Junior. Martin Truex Jr. has used all of this momentum to catch on these guys all the way up to 3rd, caught them side by side up through the S's, took advantage of them. Now he's on attack, trying to take trouble right in front of me. Joey Logano in the sand, did not make contact. Keeps rolling, he's going to stay on that path to keep him getting buried in the sand. Still keeps the car rolling, no contact. He's going to be okay. Just lost a lot of track position.
And Jeff, you guys talked about that contact further up in front of Joey Logano. Well, it always happens that it's a chain reaction. Logano got damage on the nose, and you saw him not able to turn the car going into that corner. Fortunately, he's able to make it to pit road quickly. He is already here in his pit stall. They're going to assess the damage on the 22, but some early damage in a chain reaction accident on the racetrack.
You see the damage on the nose and the hood. The 20. This is an aerodynamic track. As fast as it is, that will affect the handling. So as Jeff called, I don't think he got damage going in the sand. The damage was right here in the carousel. As the whole field stacks up, you see right here the 42 checks up. Heavy contact between Joey Logano and Kyle Larson. He was running in the 6th position, and then as he goes down into turn 6 underneath Jeff Burton, The car goes straight. We'll have to keep an eye on the 22 to see what kind of repairs they can make as the race goes on.
Still out front, Kyle Busch now has almost a second lead over Martin Truex Jr. running second. Chase Elliott third, Denny Hamlin fourth, Kyle Larson is fifth, A.J. Allmendinger running in the sixth position. And around goes Eric Almirola. He had a little contact.
Get her going if you can.
Almirola in turn 7 gets turned around and backs the 10 into the wall. Caution will come out.
Caution, caution, caution.
So aggressive early on. And we see Almirola and a lot of damage to the right rear of that car.
Well, you mentioned contact, Rick. It looked to me, you called it correct when it was live. Ryan Blaney inside the 10 of Almirola. I'm not sure Eric knew he was there. He ran the 12 onto the curb. Blaney had nowhere to go. Contact with the 10. He spins around. Heavy damage to the tail of Eric Almirola's car.
Their flight disappeared 5 years ago. Today, it landed, and they haven't aged a day. From executive producer Robert Zemeckis, Manifest. Mondays this fall on NBC. Let's go into the garage. Marty, what's going on with the 22?
Well, Rick, first of all, Joey Logano is done for the day. You see he and Todd Gordon talking to NASCAR officials. Let's back up to the accident. When that accident happened, they broke an oil cooler in the 22 car. Between that time and when they got back to the garage area, because their pit stall was so close to the entrance to the garage area, NASCAR put them on the damaged vehicle policy program. That means if they come to the garage area, they are out of the race. Todd Gordon did not know they were under the damaged vehicle policy, and so he brought Joey to the garage not knowing that, and in essence put themselves out of the race. So Joey Logano will have to go to the care center here. We'll get a word with him in a moment, but a lot of disbelief here on the 22 team, Kelly.
And the 47 of A.J. Allmendinger just now leaving pit road. They had a prolonged stop. You see the damage there on the nose of that car. That occurred at the same time that Joey Logano had his issues. They brought him in. They opened up the hood. they really didn't do anything underneath the hood. They said the radiator is not leaking, so all they did was pull some tape off the nose of that car and made a little bit of a chassis adjustment because he said the car was tight. But it looks like the most part for that that damage is just going to be in aerodynamics, nothing damage underneath the hood.
Well, that's fortunate. And all this stuff started with really Denny Hamlin getting crossed up in the carousel, and it checked everybody up. So this is riding along with the 47 of A.J. Allmendinger, gets in the back of Joey Logano, and then watch as we go down the back straightaway. Watch as all the stuff starts coming out from behind the 22 car. That's right there. That's oil coming out of that car, and that's why Joey Logano right here continues straight into the sand pit underneath me.
So to go back, what Marty reported there, basically when you have an incident on the racetrack like Joey Logano had, there is damage. So NASCAR then announces you're on that damaged vehicle policy. There are certain rules to that. One rule is if you go to the garage, your day is over. What I want to add, though, Rick, while that seems unfortunate, they were going to have to change an oil cooler. They would be down 5, 10, 15 laps, so the day was relatively over anyway, but now they officially can't return.
And side by side for the restart, field approaching the Geico restart zone. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. up through the gears as they go across the start line. Both diving down into turn number 1. And look at Jimmy Johnson in the 48, making it 3 wide as he goes through turn 1. Kyle Busch has the lead. Martin Truex Jr. on his back bumper.
They are nose to tail, 2-car breakaway at the front of the field. The battle now is for third. Denny Hamlin in the 11. You got Chase Elliott in the 9, joined by Eric Jones in the 20. They sort it out now to single file formation, except for Chase Elliott's on the move in the 9 car.
Chase Elliott in the braking zone looking to take a position. Doesn't get in there deep enough. They go through the inner loop here. Denny Hamlin controls the position as they go into the carousel. Everybody single file through the carousel. No issues this lap. No fluid on the track there for the drivers on the Jeff Burton.
Yeah, very aggressive racing early in this race. Chase Elliott there in that 9 car. He's had a fast car all weekend. You got to know he's thinking, what in the heck, guys? It's early in this race. Let's calm down just a little bit. But that's Watkins Glen. We're going to see it all day.
Again, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. up front, but Denny Hamlin trying to hold off the hard charging. Number 9 of Chase Elliott. Eric Jones just behind him. 2 young drivers trying to make a name for themselves. Eric Jones got a win this year. Problem is, Chase Elliott hasn't got that win yet. Still looking for his first career win in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Toyota, Chevy, Toyota, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The 11 of Hamlin, the 9 of Elliott. Then you got the 20 of Eric Jones. That is the battle for the number 3 position. They've actually legged it out now over Ryan Blaney in the 12, who rides in the 6th position.
Kyle Busch is gone. The battle is back here for 3rd between Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. Chase keeping pace with Denny. Denny, little mistake there in the center of the inner loop. Allows Chase to stay right on him through the carousel. Chase right on him, giving him good pressure here. Heading up to Jeff Burton.
See, Denny Hamlin, he opened up his exit a little bit, didn't pinch the car off, and that helped him down this long back straightaway get away from Chase Elliott. Chase is faster in the center of the corners. Denny Hamlin knows that. He's actually checking Chase up just a little bit, slowing him down and accelerating on corner exit.
The big gap in front of the 11 of Denny Hamlin indicates that he's holding up Chase Elliott. When will Chase Elliott take advantage of the back bumper of the 11 to let him know that he's back there and ready to go? He doesn't take advantage of it here as they go through turn number 1. He works his way in the tire tracks of the 11 of Denny Hamlin, staying right there in that position, still fighting for 3rd.
Chase Elliott pretty aggressive right now, climbing the hill through turn number 3, trying to keep Denny Hamlin at arm's length. Here they come now out of turn number 4. It's Hamlin and Elliott racing for 3rd up the back straightaway.
Chase Elliott, he's close enough to try to look out and pressure Hamlin into a mistake in that braking zone. You see him move out, trying to get Denny off his game. Chase is right on there. Look at the pressure he's putting here in the carousel. Denny, though, holds a pretty line. Doesn't make any mistakes, so Chase doesn't get a run.
Yeah, he's doing such a good job of holding the center of the corner on the bottom and accelerating off. And we saw David Reagan spin in turn 1. You heard him say it wheel hopped it, no caution, he continued on.
Great battle staying between these two. Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and now Eric Jones in the 20, closing the gap. Those 3 cars all fighting for 1 position. Chase Elliott gets out of line And looking for a little fresh air, clean air as he comes into turn number 1, back into that hard braking zone, the hard right-hander. And Denny Hamlin now with a 3-car length lead over Elliott.
They leave turn 1, downhill to turn 2. Denny Hamlin starting to leg it out now over Chase Elliott. Eric Jones there making that a 3-car fight. That's positions 3, 4, and 5 as they cross over into turn number 4. Chase Elliott backing away now, but now peeking to the inside out of 4.
Chase Elliott not close enough again into the inner loop, but man, he's making up great time here in the inner loop. There's his father, Bill Elliott, spotting over here in the inner loop. I can see Bill from where I'm at. Chase really makes a lot of ground through there and is able to close up on Denny in the carousel. But up through the S's, just isn't able to stay there to attack in the braking zone.
This is a great example of how better lap time doesn't necessarily mean a better racing race car. I bet if Chase Elliott got in front of Denny Hamlin, he could get away from him. But Denny is strong in the areas. Chase going to make an aggressive move. We saw this not work. He decided to back out. Nice, smart move. That is a very dangerous place to try to pass.
Yeah, I think Chase in the 9 needs to be a little patient to save some brakes. Remember, there's still 81 laps to go. You saw earlier, David Reagan ended up spun around at turn 1. Here's what happened. On the brakes hard. Looks like it maybe wheel hopped a little bit. The 38 spun. The 17 of Ricky Stenhouse spun. The 38 was running 19th. Ricky Stenhouse in 18th. Both spun down into turn 1, but they recovered. Rick pulled away and joined the field.
Still out front, Kyle Busch has a 2.5-second lead over Martin Truex Jr. You're not going to miss a thing as we go NASCAR nonstop. Watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen. Telecast presented by Applebee's. And want to take a look at today's track facts brought to you by Mobile One. Strategy definitely coming into play, and it could happen quick.
It does. It comes very early. So basically, I think the two main choices you have to make here at Watkins Glen. Are you going to pit twice or 3 times? We've seen since 2011 the winner has either come on a 2 or 3 stop strategy. So you look, it comes very quickly, as you said. Either way, I expect to see the leaders hit pit road at lap 17 right before the end of stage 1. Come get their service before the yellow comes out. Decision time is, are you going to stop again? If you're on a 3-stop strategy, you stop at lap 37 right before the end of stage 2. If not, then everyone's final stop, Marty, I expect to see somewhere in the lap 55 range, depending on how good they think their car is, and perhaps more importantly, how good they think their fuel mileage is.
Steve, certainly strategy going to be a big factor today. Joey Logano out of the infield care center. And first of all, what happened on the track, and then your interpretation of what happened when you came to the garage area. They say you violated the damaged vehicle policy.
I don't really know the policy and how it's supposed to work. That's not technically my job to understand that. But on the racetrack, we're just racing hard, and you know, I was going to try to make a run off a carousel on Larson, and was trying to get the nose on it into the bus stops. I saw they were all racing in front of me really hard, and thought I could try to, you know, make a run and get some momentum off the carousel, and I was right on Larson. I think they checked up in front of him, and he lifted, and I was right there, and I guess my bumper bar went underneath his bumper, I guess, and just knocked into the radiator and punctured a hole in it. So didn't take much. Kind of the same issue we had last week. So we just got to figure out how to make the car a little bit more durable, or I got to race it like it's an Indy car and get away from everyone. I don't know. Either way, we just got to, I don't know. It's tough. The last 2 weeks we've had trouble early in the race. So felt like I had a car that could maybe run with these guys today. And unfortunately, the Shell Penzo Ford's behind the wall, and that'll be it. So went from 0 to 0 pretty quick, didn't I?
Well, you can understand the frustration from Joey Logano after winning yesterday. He will finish last here today.
And only the second time in his career that he's ever finished last. So difficult day for Joey Logano. We saw earlier how David Reagan and the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a problem in turn 1. Well, he's having a few more issues.
Yeah, he gets to the left side of the grass off the top of the S. That is a dangerous place to leave the asphalt. He's lucky he didn't get into an accident. Now he has to be concerned about the temperature. Look at that lower grill of the 34 of Michael McDowell, debris on the 14 of Clint Boyer as they come through. Other cars, Kevin Harvick. These drivers are going to have to really watch those gauges. The 17 actually had to come to pit road and clean it off. You know, at some point, Rick, you just have to say, you know what, take your medicine, come to pit road. It's unfortunate. The rest of these grills look a little bit better. There's Michael McDowell right there, and the grill looks a little cleaner.
First stage 20 laps. There's 6 laps to go in that. But before they come in for the stage ending, you're saying that a lot of guys are going to be coming to pit road around lap 17, so maybe in about 3 laps.
Yeah, nothing new. We saw this at Sonoma. It's basically going to be a decision, Dale, whether you want stage points or no stage points. But while we wait to see who pits, why don't we ride along with what I think the coolest camera is. Dale Jr., take us for a ride with Kevin Harvick.
Absolutely. Kevin Harvick, great race car driver, allowing us to use these awesome camera angles to see the feet and how he's using the pedals in the car today. He's coming through the carousel, a little bit of brake here, a little bit of throttle. Very easily on the throttle here, trying to get that forward bite. Once he realizes he has it, full throttle, quick shift in the 3rd gear. Won't go to 4th there. Going to downshift into 2nd real quick. Not a hard braking zone there, but initially it is. Pretty standard right-hand corner here. Trying to get that forward bite down, and again, hard on the throttle as soon as he understands where the grip is in the back of the car, where the drive-off is. This is really hard. See him pumping that brake, getting that brake pumped up, and getting all 4 tires ready to apply pressure properly so he doesn't wheel hop into the corner. If you don't pump the brake, sometimes you can hammer the brake pedal, and the brakes on the front have faded somewhat, so you got really strong rear brakes, and that can get you wheel hopping into turn 1. So pumping that pedal can sort of prime the system up so all 4 tires are braking properly together. The wheel hopping potential is much less. Same thing down here into the inner loop. Pops that pedal just a little bit to pump up them brakes and get them ready. That's a very hard braking zone. Gonna be pumping the pedal all day into that one.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, the man on the move, Kurt Busch right here. He started the back of the pack, and he is driven up to 16. So he is coming up from the back very well. He's a really good road racer. This guy can drive a race car on a road course. We know how good he is everywhere else as well, and One thing he's going to have to be a little bit careful of is he's driving up through the front. He's having to use a lot of brakes, so he's gotten himself in pretty good position right now, but he's going to have to take care of these brakes a little bit. It's a heavy braking area, but a really good job right here by Busch.
And Jeff, that's a terrific point. Talking to Kurt before the race, that's the one thing he said. If I have a weakness here at Watkins Glen, you're right, he's a very good road course racer. He said I used too much brakes early in the race. So starting deep in the field like this, having to sort of baby it through the field. But he's been very impressive now, up 18 spots for Kurt Busch for the car. They're just a little bit tight. And I have a feeling pit road about to get very busy down here.
Yeah, one thing you saw Kurt do right there, he wasn't in position to make that move on Ryan Newman in the 31 car. He just went to the right and said, hey, I'm here, I want this spot, trying to get Ryan to think about it and maybe make a mistake and take advantage of it.
Well, that's Kurt Busch. His brother Kyle Busch leads this race with about a 3-second lead. So we mentioned we expect to see cars on pit road at lap 17. That's what lap they're coming to now. The reason is because they closed pit road with 2 to go. Kyle could technically stay out because he's the leader. He could come to pit road the next lap. I expect the cars behind him right here to come to pit road this lap. So here's Kyle, he goes by. We see a few decide to stay on the track, but here we go. Denny Hamlin, the 9 of Chase Elliott, the 20 of Eric Jones. We continue to show this picture. We're going to continue to see the same thing. 42 of Larson. Here you go. They keep coming. Blaney, busy on pit road, Marty.
Chase Elliott, the first of those cars to hit, running fourth. He has a very early pit stall. You're going to see him change the right-hand side tires first, and then the left-hand side tires after that, and a big tear-off as well. Eric Jones having a very nice run here at Watkins Glen so far. They do the opposite on the tires, changing the left side first, and a little bit longer on that stop, Kelly.
All the way at pit exit is Denny Hamlin in this 11 car. He started off just way too tight, said his car was even chattering for those first couple of laps. This team choosing to set themselves up strategy-wise for the big picture, Marty. This is a team that wants to go for the win.
Ryan Blaney leaving pit road. He told us before the race, hey, I'm pretty good at the road courses so far. Up into the top 6 for Ryan Blaney. Said his car was a little bit too free, Kelly.
And there you see Kevin Harvick in that 4 car. They have just completed their service as well. Kevin Harvick looking for his 3rd road course win. 4 tires for the 4.
All right, so as I mentioned, now the 18 of Kyle Busch can come because he's leading. So pit road's not closed yet, but big decision. 78 of Martin Truex Jr. stays on the racetrack. He says, you know what's more important than pit strategy? A stage point. I'm going to stay on the racetrack. Dave?
Kyle comes to his pit box. He'll look for 4 fresh Goodyear tires and a fill of Sunoco fuel. His only thought on the race car as he talked to his crew chief was a little loose leaving. That's exiting the corners. Everything else is pretty good. Crew's working in the opposite direction this weekend. Looking good so far for the 18 bunch. He'll get service and go.
And what Dave said, they're working in the opposite direction. Normally the cars will come to the crews from their right, and they will be jumping out in front of the car, changing the tires, going to the other side of the car, changing the tires, putting fuel in. So this is completely different because the cars are now coming from their left here at Watkins Glen.
Just one more thing to complicate the road course. So a quick update. This is the race leader, the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., coming to 1 to go. He wants to get that playoff point for winning the stage. Jimmy Johnson running 2nd. Why did he stay on the racetrack? I think it purely comes down to the playoff picture. Remember, he's only about 100 above the playoff picture. He needs points. He'll get 9 points for finishing 2nd. William Byron has the same idea in 3rd. We knew there were going to be priorities. Decisions were going to have to be made. I really love this choice by Chad Knaus. We look at Jimmy Johnson came in only 107 above. That seems like a lot, Rick, but we just saw Joey Logano. He's going to finish last, right? Anything can happen. Points can go away very quickly. Look at the standings.
There are the playoff points as they start the final lap of stage 1.
Look, he's at plus 128 where he currently runs. You know, it's this balance. This is what stages have done to crew chiefs. They have to decide a priority, and as we see the final lap running, look, all these guys are going to lose track position because when this green and white checkered flag comes out, Kelly, they'll come to pit road.
Yeah, and how about this test for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson? They're telling him to keep his teammate William Byron behind him. The only problem, Jimmy Johnson's rear view mirror inside the cockpit, the giant rear view mirror they put on for these road course races has fallen off. He just said, I can't see anything.
You can see it bouncing in there.
I was going to say, I think I can see it moving. If you look kind of behind the windshield wiper, it moves up and down. That's something that they're going to lose track position anyway. It's going to be interesting to see if they want to fix that.
Yeah, and that right there, I mean, for a driver on a road course where you have to block on corner entry under braking, that is a huge disadvantage to not have a mirror.
And Martin Truex Jr. keeps his winning ways going as he will win stage 1 at Watkins Glen. He won a year ago, the race, and won at Sonoma earlier this year. The battle continuing for position here between the 11 of Denny Hamlin and the 9 of Chase Elliott. Those two fighting for a spot as they come straight at Jeff Burton in turn 6. Denny Hamlin still holding on to that position. These two have been fighting for spots all day long. Chase Elliott working the high side. Can't get by the 11. Now he crosses him over. Looking to the inside, a drag race as they come to the finish line. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Hamlin. Noses just in front of Elliott. And again, every point matters. They're fighting for points to be in the top 10. Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen. This telecast presented by Applebee's. NBC is brought to you by GoBowling. Go to GoBowling.com to find a center near you. Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. Subway restaurants. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Well, the party is going to move from here at Watkins Glen to Michigan International Speedway next weekend. Great camping there, affordable adult ticket prices, special kids pricing, and free parking. Who doesn't love free parking? All you have to do, visit NASCAR.com/tickets to purchase tickets today.
Fastest track on the circuit, Rick. Such a blast when we go up to the Irish Hills.
Let's take a look at this mirror that's falling out of Jimmy's car. If you look there right under the Monster logo, you're going to see this thing bouncing around in there as he goes through the inner loop. That's pretty much renders that thing useless. I mean, it's nothing he can use. He won't be able to see as guys are starting to challenge him in the braking zones of the inner loop. His crew chief doesn't want to make the change or the fix because it takes a lot of time and you use a lot of track position doing that. Marty.
Hey, guess who won this race last year? Martin Truex Jr., Cole Pern, using the same exact strategy today. They run the full stage here, get that stage win. They'll stay out to about lap 55. Truex said, I just need more overall grip. That's my biggest complaint. They're going to do that with air pressure for fresh Goodyear tires. And again, doing that opposite way of pitting here on pit road, Kelly.
So in order to not lose time here on pit road, the team is going to hand Jimmy Johnson a nut driver and perhaps some duct tape so that he can fix that rear view mirror himself. On top of that, he said he was a little bit loose getting into the right-hand turns. Same goes for his teammate William Byron, the rookie in that 24 car. He also said he was a little bit loose in those right-handers. 4 tires.
And the race off pit road brought to you by Kroger Click List. 4 spots gained by Alex Bowman. Chris Buescher also gains a few spots. Paul Menard, he's going the right direction. Michael McDowell, the wrong direction. It's the Go Bowling at the Glen. And it has been an interesting first stage already. Now tomorrow, this Ninja Warrior overcame his own struggles to help inspire others. Be there for the emotional run that will have America cheering. Emmy-nominated American Ninja Warrior. That's tomorrow night on NBC. And the driver of the 13, Ty Dillon, is actually going to be competing on that show as well. Let's take a look at the Toyota Camry on-track car, and we'll check in with Rutledge Wood.
Rick, when you're looking at this Toyota on-track car, you really notice this splitter down here, because when the guys are driving over that bus stop, you see so violently they hit this thing so hard. Steve, I'm wondering, how can they keep the nose protected? When you saw there with Joey Logano, he barely had an impact, and it seemed like it shook that oil cooler loose. How do you do that dance when cars are jumping over that spot so hard every single lap?
Well, as you see right here at the 11 going over it, I think the whole key is to hit them relatively straight. You just can't drop whatever your inside tires are to the grass. That's the big drop off. So as long as you have 2 tires on the asphalt or on the curbing, the other 2 tires on the curbing, the splitter has a chance to survive. If you ever get put out in the grass though, Rut, that splitter may be the first thing that goes.
All right, so all of the cars have been to pit road. They have taken care of this first part of the strategy. I'm going to let you have a little bit of a break. I want to bring in the guys that are out around the track, including MRN Sirius XM radios. Mike Bagley, he's in the S's. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton. Mike, what have you seen so far?
I've seen a lot of aggression, Rick, and that surprises me. Normally, this is one of the more tame portions of Watkins Glen. The drivers want to go through here single file. They've been toying with 3 wide, having to back away. Normally, you don't see them go through here double wide. That Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin battle, man, that's been epic. A lot of aggression here in the S's. What about you, Dale Jr.? Any aggression down there at your portion of the racetrack?
Yeah, the first couple laps are pretty wild. Had energy level way up, but as things started to string out, there were some great battles. You talked about Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, those guys fighting it out. That's been fun to watch. Really everybody through the field, and it's been great also to see the strategy that these guys are using to take stage points or to put themselves up in position to win. Jeff?
Yeah, that battle you guys keep talking about with Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, that's just started. It's going to continue. And then also the climb up through the field by Kurt Busch. He's now in 11th place, Kelly.
All right, we talked about Jimmy Johnson's mural. Here is the discussion on how to fix it.
We probably don't need to lose any spots or anything messing with this, okay? Yeah, if you just stand it to me, I'll figure it out. Okay. Would you like a roll of duct tape as well? Just a nut driver. Give me a nut driver. And Andy's pink slip. We'll give it to you both at the same time.
Okay, so unfortunately, Jimmy has not been able to fix that rear view mirror, so they're just going to move on without it. It's up to his spotters now around the track to act as a rear view mirror for him, and Chad Knaus, his crew chief, just saying, hey, you don't need a rear view mirror. Keep your eyes forward. You're doing great.
And once again, the field approaching the Geico restart zone. It's Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. Once again, up front. Up through the gears again, but then hard onto the brakes as they go into turn one. And once again, here comes Chase Elliott, working to the inside. Elliott trying to take the lead as they come out of turn number one, all over the back bumper of the 18.
Kyle Busch slipped just a tad coming out of turn number one. So did Denny Hamlin. That left the lane open for Chase Elliott in the 9 car. It'll be Elliott going to the number 2 position. Here are teammates, the 11 of Hamlin, the 20 of Aaron Jones. They are side by side for third as they exit turn 4.
The leaders are driving away, but back there in third, it's a great battle between teammates. Side by side into the inner loop. Denny Hamlin takes the position from Jones as the rest of the field snakes through. Behind Jones is McMurray. Teammates, Jamie McMurray and Larson, going through the carousel there. Look at those cars battling side by side through the carousel back in the pack.
A battle right here. Chase Elliott, he's taking a look at Kyle Busch right on the rear bumper. Look how close he is to him. He's going to take a look right here into 7. Side by side, Kyle Busch squeezes him. Tight battle coming to the start-finish line.
Kyle Busch still out front. Chase Elliott giving him everything he can right now as they're fighting for that top spot. Elliott has been so good through the carousel, making up that ground, looking for an opportunity to get by the 18. Still hasn't been able to do it as he heads up into turn 2.
Yeah, it's a game of me and my shadow right now between Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott. Those two have pulled away from the field. Chase Elliott, though, not letting Kyle Busch get away as of yet, trying to stay with him stride for stride, although he'll fade back by about 2 car lengths out of turn 4.
Chase not close enough to make a challenge into the inner loop. Proud Papa watches on as he spots him through this inner loop, battling for the lead. Look at Chase get loose in the center there. Fighting hard for every bit of grip. He's got a great race car, and he's putting the fight to the guy who we thought had the best car all weekend, Kyle Busch.
And that's what you want. You want to beat the best guy. Right in front of Chase Elliott is what many people consider to be one of the best road racers. You have a chance to take it from him. I can promise you as a driver, he wants that in the worst way. He wants his first win, and he wants to do it against one of the best in the business.
We saw Awesome Bill of Dawsonville, his dad, back there spotting for him in the inner loop. He got his very first Cup win at a road course. It was Riverside, and then went on to put together a Hall of Fame career. Chase Elliott still looking for that first win as he right in the tire tracks again. There we saw a little smoke coming out of the 18 of Kyle Busch, making a little mistake as he broke in turn 1. Marty.
And Rick, I asked Alan Gustafson this morning, I said, if you ever thought Chase's first win might come in a road course, he said, honestly, no. But he has gotten so much better. He showed promise early on, but he couldn't put the races together. He's gotten better. Our cars have gotten better. And even this car this weekend, much better than the car we had at Sonoma just a couple of weeks ago, Dave.
Marty, the advice that they're giving Kyle Busch as he makes a little bit of slip right there in the inner loop. And here comes Chase Elliott. He's going to try to get him in the carousel. They told him the 9 would fade back after 4 or 5 laps, but with mistakes, that's not going to happen, Rick.
Not at all. And coming out of the carousel, he was all over the back bumper again. Chase Elliott continues to dog that 18 so hard. Listen into the 18 radio.
Just run your race. Let him push himself so he makes a mistake. There's nothing else coming. By 3.
Challenge for the lead. Here comes Elliott to the inside. The crowd on their feet. They're cheering as Elliott takes the lead at the Glen. Chase Elliott, new leader at Watkins Glen as he dives into turn number 1. Now he has the 18 of Kyle Busch in his mirror.
They come to the S's, watching this crowd and the S's go absolutely crazy right now. Chase Elliott around Kyle Busch. He's not only taken the lead, but he is pulled away by 4 car lengths up the back straightaway.
Kyle Busch had to surrender the spot after all that pressure. He's hoping that the 9 car will eventually just burn his car up. Is Chase pushing too hard? Is Chase going to be able to keep up this type of tempo and this type of pace? Kyle definitely was making those mistakes out front, and he decided to move over and let Chase have the position.
That's the thing. I don't think that Kyle Busch was taking it easy. We saw him lock the brakes up getting into 1. We saw him sideways through the inner loop. It wasn't like Kyle Busch just said, hey, I'm going to drive easy and let Chase Elliott take this lead. Chase Elliott grabbed him from it. It wasn't, hey, I'm just going to be easy. That was just great driving by Chase Elliott.
Well, Jeff, and I have to think we might be looking at the 2018 most popular driver, because when he took the lead, it was popular. So we see new guys at the front, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch. Well, not just him. Look a little bit farther back, the 20 of Eric Jones, the 1 of Jamie McMurray. That strategy has helped. Jamie McMurray currently running in the 5th position. Well, he was running around 10th at the first stage. He came before the end of the stage break. That's how he gained his track position. You look a few cars behind him, the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., the car that decided to stay on the racetrack. He had to restart back in 12th, currently running 11th. This is what he did last year. He was able to recover. It'll be interesting to see, Rick, can the 78 recover again and move back up through the field?
Well, the 78 was in this position a year ago when he went on to win the race, but he's going to have to go by, as we mentioned, maybe the most popular driver in NASCAR right now. Well, he is number 1 with that fan right there. That's a nice sunburn. Verizon IndyCar Series returns to NBCSN on Sunday, August 19th with racing from Pocono Raceway. Scott Dixon, he's leading the point standings, but Will Power, the Indy 500 champ, will be the driver to beat at Pocono as he's looking for his 3rd straight at the Tricky Triangle. We were looking on there with A.J. Allmendinger. You see the damage on the front of that race car. Obviously, at a very high-speed racetrack like this, over 180 miles an hour, that's going to affect performance of this car.
Yeah, it's going to affect it, but they've done a nice job of taping it up, Jeff. I'm not sure. I mean, it's definitely not as designed, but it looks like they've done a nice job of repairing that 47.
Yeah, they have. It's just every little thing matters, and A.J. Allmendinger right now down in 20th. We thought he could be able to charge up to the field a little better than that, but as we ride along, we're with one of the very best road racers, no doubt about it. Let's see how his approach is different than what we saw earlier with Kevin Harvick. So he's driving in this carousel right now. You can see no gear change, trying to hug that curb on the right side. He's actually on the curb. Some people stay off of it. Uses all the racetrack on the exit, now into 3rd gear. Now he's going to drive into turn 6, a heavy braking zone initially. Then you trail brake, start coming off down into 2nd gear. You saw he had a moment right there, actually missed his marks way up the racetrack. Still in 2nd gear, into 7, right-hander. Now he's on the front straightaway. You'll see a shift. 3rd gear. Downhill into turn 1. This is why we see so many problems into turn 1. It's downhill. The rear tires get light. It's easy to wheel hop it. He downshifted to 2nd. Now he's going to upshift to 3rd. Little bit of throttle off. Set yourself up for this corner. Now you hug the right side to set yourself up for the latter part of the S's to straighten it out the best you can. And this will lead you to that long back straightaway heading to the inner loop.
And that's where we see the cars get upwards of 180 miles an hour as they get into the inner loop. We're going to get a few updates on other drivers around the course, and we'll start with Kelly.
As we look at that one of Jamie McMurray, his crew chief Matt McCall used some strategy to get him up into the 5th position where they've held on, and this team could use a good result. It's been 5 weeks since they've even had a top 15 finish, but McCall told me that Jamie likes these road courses just because they're different. They require some finesse and some control. Right now, Jamie McMurray saying the biggest issue in that number 1 car is he's got a little bit of wheel hop, especially in turn 6, Marty.
Kelly, it was honestly a disastrous Saturday for Clint Boyer and his race team. Let's see, number 1, the car caught on fire. Number 2, it fell off the jack and damaged the right side. And number 3, they had to have an unscheduled transmission change. But a much better Sunday. Boyer, other than dealing with some temperature issues inside the car, has driven his way up into the top 10. Always a threat at the road courses, Dave.
Daniel Suarez started today 96 points behind the cut line for the playoffs. But last week nearly won at Pocono. That gave the team some momentum. They hoped they could carry here to Watkins Glen. For now, the driver who really needs a win to make the playoffs doesn't have the car that he needs. A little tight right there through the carousel. Difficult to turn. They hope to get that right before the day's over and give Daniel a chance.
Daniel Suarez running 11th. Chase Elliott, he's up front. Could he win another stage? It'd be the 3rd race in a row. You won't miss a thing as we go NASCAR nonstop. Just under 4 laps to go in stage 2 of the GoBowling at the Glen.
Man, 4 laps to go in stage 2, Rick. I need to get logged into my fantasy team and see if I need to go to the garage, make a change. Remember, the 22 of Joey Logano, I'm sure he was in some teams. Well, he is already in the garage and out of the race. So, Junior Jeff, not to distract you out there on your perches in the corner, but you only got 4 more laps, guys. If you're going to go to your garage, you better do it now. And I don't think that's the only decision. I don't expect many guys to come to pit road here before the end of stage 2, but if they're going to do it, this is the lap they're going to want to do it. I expect everyone to be on a 2-stop strategy, which means they'll stay out. But as you see on the left side of your screen, last pit, everybody that pitted right before the end of stage 1, they've gained that track position. Martin Truex Jr., the 78, really the only one recovering. No reason to add an extra pit stop looking at this. So stay out here, stay out the end of stage 2. You'll pit a little bit early in the final stage.
We ride along with Martin Truex Jr., who's running 5th. Again, this was the strategy that he used a year ago to win this race. Marty.
Hey, Rick, Steve called it. Here come the 3 stoppers. A couple of Stewart Haas cars. Clint Boyer on pit road said his car just got freer the longer they ran. Going to be an air pressure adjustment, trying to tighten up that car, and a fresh water bottle for Clint. Meanwhile, his teammate Kurt Busch with the same exact problem. They're going to take 4 fresh Goodyear tires and 2 free on the 41. So these guys laying down the gauntlet. They're going to try and do it on 3 stops. Clearly can't make it to the end. They'll have to come again later in the race.
So why? Why stop in extra time, Rick? Well, if everyone in the world is staying on the racetrack and you're the 41 of Kurt Busch, you say, how am I going to get an advantage? You know, the only option, do something different. I think tires matter. I want some fresher tires. Remember, in 3 laps, the yellow's going to come out. The field will be bunched up. Use those fresh tires to try to gain back positions. As Marty pointed out, everyone, even those 2 cars, have to stop one more time for fuel.
Chase Elliott getting ready to cross the start-finish line. When he does, that closes pit road. 2 laps to go in stage 1. Chase Elliott looking for a stage win. Hasn't happened very often in 2018, but it has the last 2 races. So Chase Elliott, a little bit of a roll now as he goes into the Essen.
Climbs the hill up to turn number 3. This is going to put a smile on a lot of folks' faces if Chase Elliott can hang on and pick up this stage win. He's leaving Kyle Busch in the dust. He's already set sail for the inner loop.
Steadily, just been a little bit quicker than Kyle Busch through this whole run. Chase has led 4 of the last 5 races. Before that, only 2 of the first 17. So these guys have found some speed in this Chevrolet. A Chevrolet, you hear that? Chevrolet finding a little speed today.
Yeah, this is the Chase Elliott I think we were all believed we would see when this year started. So much optimism about the new Camaro, but they just didn't run, and now they're starting to make gains. And Chase Elliott has dealt with the frustrations all year long, and sometimes those frustrations make you better. When you have an opportunity, you're a little more hungry. It means a little bit more to see if Chase Elliott can close it out today.
Well, and you mentioned Chevrolet. This is a fast racetrack. It tells me they may have made gains aerodynamically. Chase Elliott doing a wonderful job on the racetrack. Alan Gustafson calling a great strategy, sticking to their guns. 1 pit stop early, probably 1 pit stop later in the next stage as they take the white flag here for the last lap of stage 2.
Chase Elliott climbing the hill yet again, just trying to keep it back and keep it in one straight line, make it back to the start-finish line to get that win. He's been on cruise control for about the last 10 laps or so. Smooth lines and really pulling away and really in a zone right now, Dale.
There you see his dad, Bill Elliott. Bill announcing this week that he's going to be racing in the Xfinity race at Road America. Man, that made a lot of people happy on social media. I couldn't believe it when I read that. Pretty exciting. I'll be tuning in for that, but Chase doing it right now, coming out of carousel into 6.
Yeah, Road America's a road course, so Chase said, hey, Dad, here's how you do it. Now, this is a road course. This is how you're supposed to do it. Just get out front and lead. Bill Elliott has taught Chase so many things growing up, and now Chase has an opportunity to teach Bill a little something.
And I'm sure Chase is probably having so much fun running up front. Bill said, I want a little piece of that. The 62-year-old Hall of Famer running at Road America. Well, young son Chase Elliott gets another stage win, so he will win stage 2 at Watkins Glen. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, top 3. Eric Jones, Martin Truex Jr. using this stage to get some track position after winning stage 1. And now, Steve, the strategy that comes into play. So we won't see Chase Elliott on pit road.
Nope. we're going to have a caution. They have the option to pit. They're all going to stay on the racetrack because they're not yet in their fuel window to the end of the race.
Chase Elliott, we talk about momentum. Could it be today when he gets his first Cup win?
Running down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery, going wherever it leads. Running down a dream.
Monster Energy Cup Series Racing from Watkins Glen. This telecast presented by Applebee's. Great week last week on NASCAR America. You can tune in 5 o'clock and enjoy it every weekday. Last week talked about all the local tracks in the New York area building up to this right here. And coming up on Tuesday, a new show, Glory Road. You see right there, Hall of Fame crew chief Ray Evernham. He will be talking and exploring the history of NASCAR and so many big names involved. Rick Hendrick, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Bobby Allison, all guys that this has been their life.
So, Rick, you asked if anybody would come to pit road. I don't think Chase Elliott will, but I do expect cars to come to pit road, not because they can make it on fuel, but take the time to put tires on now and then maybe 10 or 12 laps take fuel only.
Blaney.
So a little bit of trickery. We see Blaney, Johnson, they're going to lead a majority of the second half of the field. So, as always, pit strategy continues to change, Kelly.
All right, so the Jimmy Johnson rearview mirror saga continues, and now that they have opted to pit under this stage break, they're going to try handing him some zip ties to see if Jimmy can reattach that rearview mirror himself. As far as this car, the 48's just really loose in the right-handers. It's going to be 4 tires of fuel and an air pressure adjustment for the 48.
So look right here, you see the mechanic reach in, hand some more parts and pieces to Jimmy Johnson. Give him a tear off. He doesn't want a tear off. He'd much rather have a rear view mirror. This is impressive that Jimmy's going to try to fix this as he rolls around here, but sometimes you have to do whatever's possible to improve your situation. So we see these cars pit right here with 48 to go. It's been well documented, Rick, you can only run about 35 or 36 laps on fuel, so they can't make it on fuel yet, but they have fresh tires, just leaving their options open.
So it was Martin Truex Jr. that jumped up and won stage 1. Then Chase Elliott flexed his muscles and won stage 2. The big question now, who wins the race? NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Sonic. This is how you Sonic. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. And by GoBowling. Want to have some fun with family and friends? Well, go bowling. And want to check in with Rutledge Wood. He's at the Peacock Pit Box.
That's right, Rick. You know, speaking of bowling, the nice folks at GoBowling made all the NBC team these sweet bowling balls. I got Dale Jr.'s right here. But you know what? I'm wondering, Dale, since you're over there by the carousel and the bus stop, who is going through there trying to wreck it and make 7-10 splits each time? Who you been watching?
I'm sure all these guys are going through there a bit different every time. So it's hard to be consistent through the bus stop. But Chase Elliott, I mean, he is driving at 10 tenths through there. I'll tell you that. He doesn't look the smoothest, but he's certainly getting through there pretty quickly. We've seen it all afternoon, how he's made ground there. Marty.
Hey, Dale, let's chat with his crew chief, Alan Gustafson. And so what's impressed you more, how aggressive your young driver's been or the cheer from the crowd when he took the lead?
Yeah, I mean, he's done a good job. He's a really good road racer. And, you know, Kyle's tough, so anytime you can pass Kyle, it's a good thing. But the guy's done a good job on this Sun Energy 1 Chevy, and hopefully we can keep it out front.
How brave do you get with this, how far you run him? When would you pit next?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the million-dollar question, right? So we're all going to find out together. But, you know, we're committed now. We're as brave as we can be. So we're all in, and hopefully we can work it out.
It would be a nice birthday present for this guy who turns 43 today for his driver to win, Kelly.
Yeah, well, Mike Wheeler, crew chief on the 11 car, would like to spoil that party, I'm sure. What more does Denny need to get up there and compete with the 18 and 9?
We got to help our right-handers a little bit, and we're a little bit tight to the rights and free to the left, so definitely going to be a wedge adjustment here during the next pit stop. Probably our last pit stop, but he's doing a pretty good job hanging in there. You know, those two guys in front of us are just a little bit better. I think we're the next best car with a 78, but I think we get a little bit of an adjustment, we got a chance.
Right, thanks, Wheels. Rick?
A little bit of an adjustment, they said. There was a penalty that the 48 had to serve.
It's been documented that Jimmy Johnson is struggling without a rear view mirror. Well, to make matters worse, you're going to see right here. Remember, the drivers on the left side, pit boxes on the right. That's very different. Where you're allowed to just 3 pit boxes. Well, look right there. I think he clips the corner of that box. That makes an extra pit box that penalty is driving through too many pit boxes. That'll be the tail end of the longest line. Let's take a listen to what the 48 had to say.
No, we didn't. I saw it. We didn't. I watched it specifically. It's damn close for certain, but he did not.
So Chad doesn't think so.
He disagrees. NASCAR is going to use the pro system and all means necessary to assess a penalty, so they're going to disagree, obviously. And I would say since he's in the back, they're not going to take the penalty away.
Chase Elliott has been in this position before. He has been in position to win a race. He has Kyle Busch on his outside. Chase Elliott has struggled with restarts. He needs to have a great one right now. Diving into turn number 1. Chase Elliott with a great restart that time. Kyle Busch all behind him. Chase Elliott gets loose. Kyle Busch trying to take the lead away as he goes to 2.
Elliott slips coming out of 1. The inside line opens up, and here comes Kyle Busch. Back to the lead and back to the top of the leaderboard at Watkins Glen. Chase will stay with him in second. Now Hamlin in the 11th, third position as they stack up behind Hamlin, headed to the inner loop.
Into the inner loop. Kyle Busch leads, healthy, comfortable lead there, but he misses the center of that inner loop every time, and I think that his line through there is just a little bit different, and Chase Elliott's able to gain about a car length or 2 as they go through the carousel.
Chase Elliott had a great launch on the restart. He just didn't execute in turn 1, and you have to wonder how that's affecting him mentally. He's been so hard on himself about making mistakes late in the race, having an opportunity to win the race. He's going to have to forget it. Just let it go away and go attack Kyle Busch.
Well, you mentioned it. A slip off turn 1 has definitely hurt the 9. He accelerates good. You called it, Rick. A great restart by the 9. But look what happens. He drives deep into turn 1. It pushes through the middle, and then he can't get powered down. He's up on the curb. That allows the 18 of Kyle Busch to get to the driver's right and clear him going into turn 2.
Here they come out of turn number 1. Busch away with the lead. Elliott's in second. Battle behind them is for the number 3 position. You got Hamlin in the 11 there. That's that 2-car battle behind Chase Elliott. Elliott smooth, though, through turn number 3. Across turn number 4 as Kyle Busch in that green car will bring the field to the back straightaway.
Kyle Busch with a healthy lead. Lost that track position. Chase Elliott wants it back. Man, look at those guys driving in the inner loop. What a great camera shot. Chase gains a little bit of ground again in the inner loop. Here's the battle for third. Teammates Jones giving pressure to Denny Hamlin as they go through this inner loop. Jones waiting on the throttle for Hamlin to make a mistake. Can't get a run off the carousel into 6.
When did Eric Jones become a road racer? Here he is racing against Denny Hamlin. Martin Truex Jr. behind him, going for his 3rd road course win in a row. So Eric Jones stepping up the road course racing game here in Watkins Glen.
The battle continues between Hamlin, Jones, and Martin Truex Jr. They're fighting for that 3rd spot. Hamlin has it. Jones looking for it as we see the 31 of Ryan Newman around.
That's right in front of me. He's able to get moving. I thought he was going to get stuck in the sand, but Ryan Newman able to get moving. No caution.
No caution coming out. He stays going, but obviously losing a lot of track position.
You're going to see this is heading down into turn 6. He just looks high. I can't tell if there was contact with the 34 if he just missed the lane trying to defend. In the end, though, the 31 spun around, as if Jeff mentioned, did a nice job getting out of that sand. But the pressure continues from Chase Elliott onto the leader, Kyle Busch.
Chase Elliott runs that inner loop so good. He's really looking at the gain that he makes through that inner loop. Look at the pressure. He's really on the bumper, the 18. Kyle being real smooth, though, doesn't put a wheel off, doesn't slip a wheel, none, as they come out of the carousel.
And remember the last time that Chase Elliott took the lead from Kyle Busch, it took him 4 laps to get by him. So that's about where we are right now. And right here, turn 6, this is where he did it. He entered low in turn 7, looking again to make the same move.
Dives to the inside, trying to replicate what he did before to take the lead away, but Kyle Busch motors away from the 9 of Chase Elliott coming out of turn 7. As they dive back into turn number 1. Now it's a 2-car length lead that Kyle Busch has over Chase Elliott. All of that work that he did through the bus stop and the carousel washed away.
See if he can regain that lost ground now, Rick. Chase Elliott falls now 4 car lengths behind Kyle Busch. This end of the racetrack belongs to Kyle Busch. Chase Elliott falls about 5 car lengths behind. Let's see if he can make it up through the bus stop, through the carousel, and on the other side of this racetrack.
Bags, you said it right. That's the end of the track that Kyle Busch is the strongest, but Chase makes all his ground back up through this inner loop. Look how low he is through the center of the inner loop. And into the carousel, he also gains ground on Kyle Busch. trying to close that gap back up. Headed to Jeff Burton into 6.
Yeah, Junior, he lost all that ground because of the move he made in turn 7. He didn't pull it off. Now he's just got to claw his way back. He can't do it in one corner. Use that inner loop to his advantage. He's really good in the carousel as well. So right now, Chase Elliott's goal is just take another couple laps and get there and take another shot.
And remember the last time this battle was taking place, Kyle Busch was hoping that the 9 would use up his stuff. Watkins Glen. This telecast presented by Applebee's. And the Irish Hills of Michigan are calling. They want to have this excitement at Michigan. That's coming up next week. Michigan International Speedway. That race begins at 2:30 on NBCSN. Again, another sellout crowd here at Watkins Glen. This battle continues to build. The 18 of Kyle Busch has the advantage over Chase Elliott. We've seen this before, and Chase Elliott normally has been able to close that gap through the bus stop and the inner loop, but has had a little bit more problem catching up to the 18. Let's listen into the radio tonight.
But if you can't get him, just take care of the fuel for me. Take care of the fuel for me.
So, Rick, basically that's Alan Gustafson saying, listen, I appreciate the pressure you are putting on Kyle Busch, but Jeff, remember, they pitted at 17. They got to make it to their next window. They've had a couple yellows at the stage ends, but that's it. We haven't seen any extended yellows. Hard to save gas around here running these type of laps.
Well, if they're saving gas, what is Denny Hamlin doing? Because they have driven away from third place. Look at the gap that they have created. I mean, these two cars are so much faster than the rest of the field. It's amazing. So I'm not so sure, Steve, that you can be saving fuel and driving away from the rest of the field like this.
No, it's difficult. Listen, it's real simple, Rick. You know how you make fuel or make horsepower? You burn fuel. So it's hard to go fast and save fuel.
And the fuel window that we talked about, around 35 laps, as we look back as these two coming into turn 6.
Yeah, it was right underneath me. I saw it happening, and Casey Kane was heavy on the brakes trying to get underneath Paul Menard, and he just got away from him. He gathered it back up. Nice save. I thought he was coming over here in the sand trap right underneath me.
The fuel window, you had mentioned 35 to what? About
33 to 35.
33 to 35. So if they pit it on lap 17, 35 puts them at lap 52,
yeah,
which we are on right now, lap 53.
But there were 7 yellows in there, and around here you hear the cars get shut off under caution. You want to know what they're doing. They're saving fuel. So it's about 2 to 1. So simple math says they could probably make it to lap 54, maybe 55. And then it's about execution, right? A strategy's great. But we saw Jimmy Johnson go through too many pit boxes in the Xfinity race. We saw a tremendous amount of penalties. You've talked about it, how backwards this pit road is. The driver's on the wrong side. Everything happens differently, Dave.
Steve, remember what Kyle Busch told Marty in Countdown to Green today about pushing the race car. He wasn't sure that he could do it 100% all day. And last year, he drove from the back to the front a couple of times and believes he may have used up the equipment during the day. So out front, Kyle doesn't have to work as hard and has been happy to stay in front of the 9, Marty.
If you'll notice, Chase Elliott in that 9, Dave, has dropped a little bit back from the 18. That's because he just came on the radio to Alan Gustafson a moment ago, and today, I'm just going to save here and ride. We asked Alan a moment ago, how brave are you? As soon as the crew chief feels like they can make it to the end, they want to come on pit road. But 54, that's 2 laps away, Kelly. That's very tight to make it to the end of the race. Junior?
The 32 car, I believe, has blown the motor. He stopped here in the inner loop. It's going to bring out a yellow.
And the caution. Yep, caution comes out for Matt DiBenedetto. And Steve was up here in the booth yelling, you guys have got to pit, you guys have got to pit, because they knew a caution was coming out. If they were on pit road, they would have been in perfect position.
Would have been green light, but no one was fortunate enough to see that car having trouble and have the opportunity to get to pit road. The leaders had already committed, so nobody could take advantage of it. So you see right here, the 4, he's looking and he sees the light turn red. He has to bail back onto the racetrack. He was Rodney Chidler's Kevin Harvick paying attention. It cost him some spots, but this was almost the move of the race. If he could have got onto pit road, so you see he's down there and he bails. You see the lights that go by right there, they're flashing red. That means pit road is closed. So that's a penalty. He couldn't have pitted. Marty?
Hey, Steve, lap 53. This is exactly when the caution came out last year. Martin Truex Jr. and everybody in the field pitted on this lap, but Truex had to save a massive amount of fuel to be able to make it to the end. So this is going to be a stretch and give you a headache as a crew chief to make it to the end from here.
Certain things are bound to happen, Rick. If you can run 35, you're going to be asked to run 37. And there's something about NASCAR racing, road course racing, and fuel strategy. All of these cars right here, the whole field will be forced. Now it's time to come to pit road. We're going to see who can do the best job, barring any other yellows. You get yellows, you can save gas, you're fine. But last year there were no yellows. So you mentioned restarts between these 2 front guys. This next one's going to be important. But first, it's on the pit crews.
Yeah, it puts so much pressure on the pit crews because all of these teams will be coming down to pit road when pit road opens and having service done to their cars.
Yeah, pit road's not open yet. The other interesting thing, Rick, is remember some guys, they only have 9 or 10 laps on their tires. Will someone try to get a big advantage by getting gas only? And look at Kevin Harvick. Look, he knows it. Oh, shucks. So close. That was going to be his chance.
And so now the teams will be going over the wall and servicing these cars for what would be the last time. And they will be able to make it on fuel about right there. There's 36 to go. When they come back, they'll have at least another lap of caution. So it'll be about 34 laps when they come back to green. And all of the crews have to be on their A game right now, because this race could be won on the race off of pit road.
Crews and drivers, Rick. I know we're going to talk about pit stops and tire changes. There's some cars deeper in the field that only have a handful of laps. They may take gas only. The reason I say that is just chaos. We're going to have guys leaving. The timing of cars coming into our pit box is going to be very different than it normally is under normal, hey, everybody takes 4 tires. Plus, it's all backwards. So, man, that's difficult as it is. This is the only racetrack where they pit this direction. So it's just easy to make mistakes. We saw a lot yesterday in the Xfinity race.
And business about to pick up on pit road. Race leader Kyle Busch leading the line onto pit road. Marty.
Alan Gustafson told Chase Elliott, "Bud, we are right on our number. I'm going to need you to save all the fuel you can." And then he told John Giannato, the fuel man, "Make sure you pack it full of Sunoco fuel." A little bit tighter up to the S's for Chase, but no chassis changes, Dave.
The leader likes the balance on his race car. 4 Goodyear tires full of Sunoco fuel. If they can get a piece of tape on the front of the car as well, they have some wiggle room with the engine temperature. That'll help the aerodynamics.
Crew Chief Mike Wheeler hopes they're just one adjustment away on this 11 car from being able to battle for the lead. Denny Hamlin has been loose on the left-handers, tight in the rights. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, give them 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel.
And look out, the gun got pulled off of the 11. There is a crazy tire now coming across pit road.
There's equipment everywhere.
Yeah,
There's
equipment.
I see at least one gas can that looks broken.
The 11 team, we saw the tire changer. Looks like the hose got caught underneath the car when he was pulling away. See, now he gets run over there.
So we talked about doing pit stops backwards. The tire gets that guy right there. Oh my goodness. See, Brad's trying to leave because he's taking fuel only, so he's trying to get out of there. The jackman drops the jack, but the tire goes away and the gun gets pulled out of his hand. We're also hearing that the 9 of Chase Elliott had issue. Here's Chase right here in his stall. Woo! That's safe. Man.
It's different for these crews, and it's definitely dangerous. You're watching the Go Bowling at the Glen. 33 laps remain from the Glen after this caution. And the crazy antics on pit road. The AMR safety team, who travels with NASCAR week in and week out, down checking on the members of the 11 pit crew and making sure everybody was okay after, again, the hose got wrapped around the left rear tire of Denny Hamlin's car and then got ripped out from the pit box.
And those tires get bouncing. Those things are heavy.
Dave.
Guys checking on a problem for the 18 of Kyle Busch. When he came down pit road, they tried to put fuel in the car. Something went wrong with the fuel probe. It looks like now they're looking at a seal on the plug that goes into the fueling device. And unfortunately, the fuel that was supposed to go in didn't get into the 18 car. Instead, they only got a few gallons in. Disgusted, crew chief Adam Stevens came across the radio and said, well, we've lost this race either way. We can come in and take our fuel now, or we can come in later, but we've given it away.
That is so frustrating. You heard Marty's report about the conversation on the 9. They were worried in general. They wanted the car packed full of fuel so that if there was any sort of mechanical issue, to your point, Dave, it doesn't even really have to be gallons. If it's a gallon or two, they know they can't make it. Adam Stevens is right. I can't, you know, some of those times you say, well, what do they need to go right at this point? I can't dream of what they need. There's no feasible way that I can see this 18 having a chance, knowing a majority of these cars are done coming to pit road.
All right, Junior, you see this frustration out of this team, such a dominant car. What do you think the team is feeling right now? And how about Kyle Busch?
Oops, excuse me. Kyle, yeah, he's probably pretty disappointed. I mean, obviously having one of the best cars, aside from Chase Elliott, you know, Kyle, he's going to get everything he can, though. He doesn't think they've lost this race. He's not going to give up. He's going to fight his way through this field. So if I'm a fan or myself up here on this perch, I'm excited to see him try to do that and see what these guys can salvage with this kind of an issue. If they can find a way to keep fueling that car and give him enough, he's going to work his way through this traffic best he can. It'll be harder as he gets closer toward the front of the field. Don't count him out just yet.
And none of these races are easy to win. We see what just happened on pit road, but right now my attention shifts to Chase Elliott. We've seen how many close calls he's had of winning these races. The two cars that he had to beat, it appeared to, are now in trouble. Denny Hamlin with the penalty. Kyle Busch obviously with the problem he had. So now it's about Chase Elliott executing. He has a fast enough car, no mistakes, great restarts. Do everything right. You have a great chance to win your first race today. Marty.
And Jeff, the game has changed obviously for Chase Elliott. Alan Gustafson updating him on where the situation is with everybody that's around him. A moment ago, this was the radio transmission.
Everybody's pretty much good to the end here. It's close. Just keep saving. Save all you can. You just got to keep that in mind. And when you get an opportunity to attack, you know, attack. But just don't be frivolous with it. Just save fuel when you can. Copy?
Don't be frivolous with it and save when you can. It's going to be a stretch for these guys to make it to the end, but certainly for Chase Elliott, the opportunity for career win #1 right in front of him.
And you see Bill Elliott right there, Hall of Famer. We mentioned earlier, where did he get his first win? Well, it was on a road course, and it was at Riverside out of California back in 1983. Bill Elliott, he had the same frustration that Chase has had. He finished second 8 times prior to getting that first win in his career. Right now, Chase Elliott has 8 second-place finishes already. That's the frustration, coming oh so close and yet not being able to finish.
Well, Rick, it's been well documented the issues for the 11 and for the 18. Well, that really has cycled some new players to the front of the field. So we see Chase Elliott. Well, he's going to line up next to the 3 of Austin Dillon. They've worked strategy wonderfully. They took no tires right there, fuel only. That's allowed him to line up on the front row. Behind him, Kurt Busch is on 2 tires. We heard he had a flat, so he gained some track position. Remember, he started at the tail of the field, right, so he knows how to get through traffic. And don't just count out that 78 yet. Remember, he stayed out and won stage 1 on purpose, gave up a little track position. And I thought it was interesting. We heard from Mike Wheeler. He said, we think we're the second best car to the 78. I said, was that a Freudian slip? Did he really mean the 18, or does he think the 78's the best car here? We're getting ready to find out.
Well, also up there in the mix, the 19 of Daniel Suarez. He's running 6. Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon making up row number 1. Green flag back in the air. Chase Elliott rocketing away. Right behind him, Kurt Busch trying to stay with him as they go into turn number 1. 3 wide behind him for second. Chase Elliott. There it's Kurt Busch. Then the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. moves up to third.
Everybody rooting and gouging for positions now as they enter the X's, or actually enter the S's. It is Chase Elliott. He's away with the lead in the 9. Kurt Busch, the new customer at the back door in the 41, as everybody makes it cleanly through turn number 4.
Chase Elliott's got to feel pretty good having the confidence that the 18 car is not up there to battle for this lead, knowing the speed he has in his car. But don't count out Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch, a great road course racer. And then Martin Truex Jr., the guy who's won the last few road course races in the series, marching his way into 3rd place.
Yeah, this is crazy. These late race restarts always create this group of cars running together. Martin Truex Jr. looking for second to come to try to take the charge to Chase Elliott. Good move underneath Kurt Busch, heading to turn 7.
Now, the 9 of Chase Elliott will see the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. in his mirror. Martin Truex Jr. trying to make it 3 wins in a row at road course races. He won here a year ago, then won Sonoma earlier this year, and now has moved up to second, chasing after the 9. Marty.
And Rick, one of the keys for the 78 winning this race last year, the same exact lap they pitted on, they got out to the lead quickly and then saved from there. So I'm wondering from the drivers, Jeff, for you, how difficult is that? Because you know you've got to make it to the end of the race, number 1, but you've got to save fuel as you're going throughout this race. It's a difficult process. Truex had to save hard in the final 10 laps of this race to win it last year.
I think right now, if you're Martin Truex Jr., you're thinking more cautions are coming. This is Watkins Glen. This is a road course. I think you can save a little bit because you're going to get a chance to bunch the field back up. If you go 10, 15 laps with no caution, then maybe go ahead and start pushing the issues, Steve. But right now, I think you'd be saving fuel.
I really think they had a couple yellows right there after they pitted, or a couple yellow flag laps that are going to help them save fuel. But I agree, go hard now. Let's worry about fuel if we can get the lead. You don't want to allow the 9. If you save fuel now, guess what the 9's going to do? He's going to save as well, Rick. Right. He's going to back right up to you. So both of these guys are out there. They're kind of in that quandary, right? They want some yellows to save fuel, but I don't think they want the bunch of filled up too many times to give somebody like Kyle Busch a chance to get back in the mix.
Chase Elliott out to a very sizable lead over Martin Truex Jr., and we know that Alan Gustafson knows how to win these races. He actually was with Kyle Busch when Kyle Busch won his very first race in the Cup Series, and Chase Elliott looking for his first as well.
Chase Elliott, that's the fastest car, ran a 71.81. Truex is 72.33. What do you do when you're running a little slower than the leader? Drive it harder. Look at Martin Truex Jr. jump them curves. That's the entrance to the inner loop. Gonna cut over them curves, put the whole car on them curves. Watch them as they come through the exit. Using a ton of curve there, trying to straighten out that inner loop. Much faster.
And the field working their way through the carousel once again as you see the gap between the 9 of Chase Elliott and the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Then back to 3rd, Kurt Busch. 4th is Eric Jones. 5th, Daniel Suarez. Austin Dillon has fallen back to the 6th position after starting on the front row. And there's the 18 of Kyle Busch. Already, Kyle Busch has made his way up to 18th.
And when I said there was no way that I could see this 18 getting to the front, I guess I was thinking with yellows and strategy. Kyle Busch wasn't listening because he's thinking, I'm just going to pass everyone. Well, I mean, I don't need any help.
The way he thinks he can do it is he's going to drive it to the front.
Yeah, good for him.
I'll just pass everyone.
Guys, he's had such a fast race car today. He's been about a half a second clearly faster than even the 3rd place car. The only car to be able to run with him today, obviously, Chase Elliott. So I think he can drive all the way up to at least 2nd place. Depends on where we get the cautions and how they fall to be able to give him a shot to get up there with Chase Elliott.
Yeah, I think the big advantage that the 18 of Busch has is that he didn't have to worry about fuel. Remember, they had that problem, and he came in 2 laps later under caution, filled it up, so there's no worry about saving fuel for him. He's just hammered down going as fast as he can.
Yeah, and Jeff Burton, you mentioned earlier how good that 18 is. Could be the best on a road course. He just easily passed the 48 of Jimmy Johnson as we go NASCAR nonstop. Chase Elliott has a 1.4-second lead over Martin Truex Jr. You've been watching the progress of the 18 of Kyle Busch as well. He's up to 13th now and keeps moving forward. Let's take a look at today's Ram trucks proven to last.
Well, first, these leaders, they're going to have to manage the fuel. It seems like they're right on the edge of their window. They got to make sure they can make it to the end on the fuel they have and take care of their equipment. Even with a 26 to go, this 7-turn road course is very hard on the cars, especially the brakes. They need to make sure they have brakes. And if the yellows come out, Rick, restarts, restarts, restarts.
All right, we want to go through the field. Let's start with the 9 and Marty Snyder.
Rick, in 3 straight races, Chase Elliott has 3 stage wins, but he's trying to do something today that he's never done, get his first career overall win here in the Cup Series. When he took the lead and won the stage, the fans went bananas. You can expect a big cheer if he's able to win this thing. They've made no changes to that 9 car today. Mike behind him, Martin Truex Jr. trying for his 3rd straight road course win, and his key, they've been very good on the longer runs. This portion of the run, maybe they can track down the 9 and get that 3rd straight win. How about Eric Jones back there in the 3rd position? Yes, a young man from Byron, Michigan, and he has really worked hard on his road course program. He's gone to schools. He's gotten personal training from Chris Cook, the great teacher, and he also ran the K&N race earlier this weekend. Clearly, it's been a key. He's in 3rd right now, Dave.
Marty, for Daniel Suarez, road course racing is in his blood. The youngster from Monterrey, Mexico, grew up racing go-karts on courses that turn right as well as left. So this is nothing new to him, and he thought this would be a place perhaps he could get that playoff-making win. He's up to 4th now. Marty.
In 5th is Kurt Busch. Yes, the same guy who started 34th today. A moment ago, they had a flat right rear tire, but the caution came out. They came down pit road, took right side tires only. That put him in this position right now. And with his talent, he's hanging on to it. And by the way, his birthday was yesterday, Kelly, so this will be a nice birthday present if he can get a top 5.
Well, Jamie McMurray in that 1 car trying to close in on the birthday. Boy, it's been a disappointing and frustrating season for this one team, to say the least. Crew Chief Matt McCall, though, said this race here was an outlier where they knew they could take some risk with strategy. They did so. It helped them gain some track position. Overall, they feel like they're making gains, but have much more to do this season to really compete for a win, Dave.
After a top 5 qualifying effort, Kyle Larson thought he'd be better in the race, but the car just hasn't been there for him. One thing that's helped him is a track bar adjuster inside the car. He can work the chassis to make it better as he runs, Kelly.
William Byron coming off of his career best finish, and his crew chief telling me they definitely have some momentum with that. He said it's nice to know that you can be aggressive with pit calls and strategy if you have the speed to back it up. William proving to be a great little road racer, spent a lot of time go-karting. He also works with road course specialist Max Pappas, who has been on the radio telling William, elbows out, elbows out. Behind him, you'll see that 2 of Brad Keselowski. He made up a lot of track position that last time down pit road as they took no tires to get there. His crew chief, Paul Wolf, saying a little bit frustrating of a weekend. They just haven't been their normal selves. This is a team that's usually qualifying up front and contending for the wins. They're not really sure what's changed, but nothing that they tried in practice really seemed to pay off, Dave.
Kelly, the pass around Keselowski by the 18 of Kyle Busch was for 9th. He resumed the race in 24th. He is pushing that Toyota Camry for all it's worth, but one wonders, after making the mention early on that he pushed it too hard last year, and there he pushes it beyond turn 1, will the equipment be there if he gets back to the front, Rick?
Well, he's definitely putting on a show, and that's what we have always appreciated about what Kyle Busch can do. He shows us how talented he is week in and week out, whether it's winning a race or it's doing what he's doing right now, starting 24th and going by people like a Brad Keselowski, like a Kevin Harvick, champions of the sport, like they're standing still.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that slide through the inner loop right there of Brad Keselowski. Kyle Busch took advantage of that, almost gave it back at turn well. Oh, the 6 of Matt Kenseth off track. He gets it refired, going back in the right direction.
Going by you now, it's all clear behind him.
Oh, I know where that is. That's up with you, Dale Jr. in the inner loop.
Well, let's take a look what happened here. I think entering the inner loop, he's going to have some issues that sent him over. Oh, yeah. He's getting passed by Denny Hamlin, who's been coming through the back of the field. He just turns him around in the center of the inner loop. He probably doesn't make any contact here. Long slide there. He's hoping he don't hit nothing. Denny's been working his way just like Kyle Busch to the back, from the back of the field, and got to be aggressive to make them passes and take those positions when you can.
Denny Hamlin has made his way up to 19th. Nowhere close to what Kyle Busch has done. He's 9th. We go NASCAR nonstop. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the credit card perfect for everyday purchases. Toyota, let's go places. Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of NASCAR. And by Applebee's, all you can eat riblets and chicken tenders. NASCAR America is on weekdays at 5 o'clock. What a great show and shows this week as we built up to this race here at Watkins Glen on Wednesday with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wednesdales. His guest will be Eric Almirola, and he always gets the best out of his guests when they come visit at the Big Oak Table. And last week it was Martin Truex Jr. And Jr., you guys learned quite a bit about Martin Truex Jr. at the Big Oak Table.
Yeah, we sure did. The week before we learned that Kyle Busch took photography in high school. That was crazy. And then Truex, he designs and builds his own gas-powered boats, RC boats, and he holds 14 world records. That's what he does with his time off. Pretty incredible.
How about you? Remote-controlled boats?
No, and no world records either. I mean, just now, now he's a champion and 14 world records. I'm just going to sit up here in shame, apparently. I can't live up to those sort of levels.
Well, he's looking good. He's still 1.2 seconds behind Chase Elliott. And then behind him is Eric Jones, who's 9.2 seconds behind Chase Elliott. But listen into the radio.
Just good to the number, like I told you. So if you get in this position to where you're still stretching, just save a little bit. Faces a green-white checker because no one's coming from behind right now. And we're not getting on the guys in front of us. I'll keep you aware of gaps and lap time.
Oh,
the old NASCAR overtime. I like what the 20's thinking right there, planning ahead. At some point, you have to ask yourself, Chris Gale says, look, it doesn't look like we can run down the 9 of the 78. Suarez isn't coming from behind. So let's go ahead and take advantage of this. Save some fuel. If we do have an overtime situation, maybe that makes the 20 the best on fuel. I will say, though, Eric Jones, nobody is coming but his teammate, the 18 of Kyle Busch. Now, he's all the way back in 9th, but he's coming slowly but surely.
Yeah, behind him, you mentioned his teammate, Kyle Busch, coming. He's moved all the way up to 9th place. Well, all these leaders, they've kind of stretched it out, but it's not quite as easy from here on back. Jamie McMurray, Kyle Larson, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, and then behind them, William Byron doing a really good job today. So these guys right here, they're battling for position. And right now, if you're looking, I mean, Busch, he's only a few cars away from being up in the top 5, so he's not out of this race. If you get a late race restart, this guy right here is going to be dangerous.
Well, you can tell that he's aggressive. Kyle Busch now will set his sights on his brother, Kurt Busch. He's about a half a second behind him, but he's in 8th position now. So Kyle Busch has made it up to 8th. Kurt Busch is running 7th. There he is, and there's the gap between the two. But as you mentioned, a couple interesting names that are up here in the top 10. Daniel Suarez having a very good run. He is yet to win in the Monster Energy Cup Series. He's running in the 4th position. And William Byron running 9th now. He has consistently run well and is showing that he has a little promise behind the wheel of that 24 car. I think a lot of people were wondering if maybe he moved up a little bit too quick. After winning the championship in the Xfinity Series a year ago, he moved right into the Cup Series. And that was something that he's such a young race car driver, just 20 years old. William Byron has struggled, I think, to get the feel of these cars and get the way the competition is in this series. Jeff?
Yeah, Rick, I think the thing with William Byron is, yeah, he may have moved up too quick, but that doesn't matter as long as everyone has patience. So if all the people at Hendrick Motorsports and all the sponsors and everybody involved, they understand he came maybe a year, maybe two, even two earlier, but give him time, and he has the ability to be successful. So, you know, when you're going to give a 20-year-old a chance in a Cup car, you also have to be willing to give him a chance to prove he can do it over a long period of time. You can't expect him to come in and just start winning races right off the bat. So patience is the key for success with this team and this driver.
Jeff, a lot of people rooting for a new winner like Byron or perhaps Chase Elliott up front, but there's a lot of drivers who also would appreciate one of the same winners, one of the guys that's won already this year. And Bowman fits that category because he's the last driver still in on points if there's not a new winner. He doesn't get pushed out. He helped himself last week with a career best finish at Pocono, and on the last stop, they decided to take on tires as well as fuel to not jump track position because Greg Ives told the driver, I want a nice, safe top 15 to keep us where we are. You can see the points on the left. Bowman in the 88 still good, but barely unless there's a new winner and he gets pushed down.
Yeah, you see a plus 63 over the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Eric Almirola, I think, is worth discussing, even though it looks good at 140 down in 14th. He's had a little bit of a struggle today with an early accident. I mean, the variety of schedule when you leave here at the Glen, it's crazy, Rick, right? We go to completely different racetracks every week, so nothing is guaranteed. And with 15 to go here at the Glen, there's no guarantees here. As Martin Truex Jr., he is not letting Chase Elliott get out of his sight.
Yeah, Martin Truex Jr., he's actually been the fastest car the last several laps, and he's starting to run Chase Elliott down. Now, we don't know how much fuel they've saved or if they're still saving. I got to believe with 15 to go, you got to go at this point. But Martin Truex Jr. doing a nice job of staying calm and starting to get close enough to apply some pressure. You can see Martin Truex Jr. loose off of turn 6. That tells me he's not saving fuel. He's full throttle.
Starting to get aggressive now. The intensity ramping up. 14 laps to go at the Glen. And Martin Truex Jr. doesn't want anyone else to jump into the party. The big three, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, they've been dominating the season. He doesn't want to give up that position. He doesn't want anyone else to win. That's why he is dogging Chase Elliott right now.
They climb their way through the S's. Chase Elliott looks in the rearview mirror. Martin Truex Jr. getting closer and closer and closer. He's chopping it down. He's almost a half second behind as he heads to the inner loop.
And in the inner loop here, Chase Elliott, this is where he's been strong all day long. Both cars, look at Truex, man. He's wheeling that thing hard, trying to make up some ground wherever he can. And he does. Even driving it that way, he's still closing on the 9 car. Incredible.
Yeah, taking the fight to the 9 car where he's been so strong. And I have to wonder who's more nervous, Austin Bill, his dad, or Chase Elliott right now. You got to not look in that mirror, though. Focus out front. Whatever helps you focus. Some drivers like to have lap time given to them. Sometimes like to have the distance behind him and the second place car. Just focus on your car. Do not worry about Martin Truex Jr. right now.
Cole Pearn must have given Martin Truex Jr. the green light to go get him, because that's exactly what Martin Truex Jr. is trying to do right now. Reel in the 9 of Chase Elliott, taking advantage of braking points. Now, it's just 3 car lengths that separate Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr.
Chase Elliott's running for his life right now. Again, Martin Truex Jr., he is on the prowl. He is closing in on Chase Elliott. You needed a stopwatch a few minutes ago. It's down to now car lengths. Put them to 6 between the top 2 as they head for the inner loop.
Martin Truex Jr. just a tenth faster that last lap. Look in the braking zone there as he closes in on Chase. Coming through the inner loop. Both cars get through cleanly. Looks like Chase is a little bit quicker there in the inner loop. But Martin rolls in through the carousel and gains a little bit of ground back.
Looks like to me, Junior, that Martin is stronger in the carousel. He's able to stay on the bottom longer, and that helps him carry some speed to this back straightaway. You can see he's gained on him into turn 6 and outbraking him a little bit. Now can he gain on him on that? So you see Chase Elliott a little bit loose on the exit of 6. Martin Truex Jr. gaining on 7.
The gap just 2 car lengths. Martin Truex Jr. spins the tires a bit. Great battle for the lead. You're not going to miss a thing as we go NASCAR nonstop. You didn't miss a thing. Ross Chastain, slow on the racetrack. He actually backed it behind a wall. We stay green. Then the 48 of Jimmy Johnson backs it into the wall in turn 7, but he's able to get onto pit road. We stay green. The battle for the lead continues between Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr.
You mentioned the 48 and the damage. That's going to make the playoff picture tight. Only 100 or so above the playoff line. And here's what happened. The 47 of AJ Allmendinger, kind of a dive ball move. That's a tough spot. Sometimes the spotters can't see it, can't tell you're there. Really the same thing we saw happen to Eric Almirola earlier in the day. 47 gets in here pretty deep. You see he's on the curb, nowhere to go. Makes contact with the 48, sending him into the wall. Guarantee there'll be a differencing of opinion on whether that was a good move or not, as we see the 78 of Truex continue to pressure the 9 of Chase Elliott.
Here they come out of the inner loop. It's been about the same distance right here. There's times on the racetrack where Truex can close on the 9, but Elliott will gain that ground back somewhere else on the track. It's been pretty even so far the last few laps.
Yeah, that right there, Truex was not able to hold the bottom in that carousel where we've seen him so strong. He still seems to be able to outbrake Chase Elliott, though, which tells me if he can ever get to him, he's got an advantage on braking. That's so important on a road course where you can overbrake somebody and drive next to him getting into a corner.
That's the same thing I'm seeing, Jeff. The 78 does have an advantage on corner entry. As I go back to that 48, Rick, I forget, he doesn't have a rear view mirror. He may have had no idea Allmendinger was back there. Well, the 9 of Chase Elliott, he has a rear view mirror, and it's full of the 78 of Martin Truex Jr.
Chase Elliott coming out of turn number 1, looking for career win number 1. Can he hold off a Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion? Martin Truex Jr. fading in the last couple of laps. That gives Chase Elliott some breathing room, Dale Jr. It's up to 6 as they leave turn 4.
Chase Elliott is making that lead a little bigger as they go through these final laps, but as he sees that 78 in the mirror, it's going to get harder and harder to be clean. Will he make these mistakes to give up some ground to the 78? If the 78 gets within 2 car lengths, he's going to feel that pressure.
Yeah, the 78 right there, Truex, he completely has changed his line in the carousel. He's using way up the racetrack to try to turn and get a good run down the back straightaway, and it does seem to help him down the back straightaway. It hurts him in the carousel, but it seems to be helping his momentum. But we've seen Chase Elliott the last 2 laps. He's had the fastest race car on the racetrack.
Junior, you used the right word, mistakes. It has to be a mistake-free lap every single time for Chase Elliott. He hears 8 to go. 8 more times around the track. They have to be perfect. Martin Truex Jr. ready to pounce. He's closed the gap again. Now just a car length and a half behind Chase Elliott.
Pressure is building at Watkins Glen. Chase Elliott has to be flawless over the course of the next 8 laps. Truex regroups, starting to shut it down now. Put the separation to 4 car lengths. Chase Elliott looks in the rearview mirror and sees Truex starting to creep in just a tad.
After every corner, he looks in that rearview mirror to see whether he's gained any ground or put any distance between him and the 78. That 78 looks a little bigger in the mirror. He feels that pressure, that anxiety starts to build as the laps start to click off. Can Chase be mistake-free these last few laps and not give Martin Truex Jr. an opportunity to pass?
44 career Cup Series wins for his dad, but this one I think would mean more than any one of those 44. Watching your son trying to get his first win at Watkins Glen, but he is going to have to earn it. Martin Truex Jr. is very good under braking. He is going to put the pressure on. It's coming, Steve.
Chase Elliott has been so hard on himself, coming so close to getting the first win. Now just 7 laps away from that first win. Martin Truex Jr. continuing to try to find a way around the 9. That time he looked a little to the inside, taking a little bit more of a risk, getting into turn number 1, closing the gap, but again, Chase Elliott pulls away.
Martin Truex Jr., the closest he's been to Chase Elliott since we went back under the green flag. Here comes Truex across turn number 4. Elliott now 2 car lengths apart, and they're closing in on lap traffic headed to the inner loop.
Chase Elliott is driving the race of his life. Never won on the Cup circuit. It's his dream. Look at this. Oh, lap traffic. These guys are trying to get out of the way. I don't think they could have done a better job to get out of the way right there. Chase driving the race of his life right now. You know that his heart is in his throat. It's incredible pressure for him to try to maintain this lead.
Trouble over here in front of me. Austin Dillon's run off course.
Right in turn 6, where they're coming right now, Austin Dillon working along the wall. The gap, still a car length between the top 2. No caution has come out. Chase Elliott, almost like at a super speedway, looking in his mirror. How close will that 78 get? Martin Truex Jr. continuing to try to put the pressure on. The more pressure he can put on Chase Elliott, the more possibility Chase Elliott will make a mistake. Gets through turn number 1 clean. Chase Elliott still 2 car lengths in front of the 78.
The crowd in the Esses grandstands are about to lose their mind. They're almost trying to will him to victory lane. That him is Chase Elliott. He is driving the race of his life, the hardest he has all day long, trying to keep Martin Truex Jr. in the rearview mirror, and is successful in doing so, at least for now.
Absolutely. He's been pretty much mistake-free these last few laps. I think if he can continue that, Martin will not have an opportunity. He will not be able to close the gap. You can see it right there. Martin just can't get any closer than this right here, and that's just not enough to really give Chase any kind of issue aero-wise to be able to put enough pressure on his car to upset the 9.
Yeah, he's got what he's got to do. Martin Truex Jr., we saw him do it a couple laps ago. He just showed Elliott that, hey, I want this spot. He kind of turned right down the front straightaway. Wasn't close enough to make the pass. But what I've seen lately is the mistakes actually have been coming from Truex. He's trying to find some speed in his car. The car just doesn't have the grip right now.
And Jeff, that's what it's going to come down to. Mistakes. Alan Gustafson calmly. 5 to go in his 99th start. Can Chase Elliott be mistake-free? 5 more laps around Watkins Glen. Marty.
And Steve, one of the strengths of the 78 all day long has been the longer run. One of the weaknesses for Chase Elliott in the 9 car, the longer run. So we're going to see how this matches out. But you talk about the calm voice of Alan Gustafson, also his spotter, Eddie DeHaan. A lot of calmness in the 9 camp so far. Chase Elliott to answer the call. Can he finish these final 5 laps?
Chase hard into the inner loop, into the braking zone. Look at Truex try to close. Both those guys are getting into that braking zone, but look at Chase Elliott pulls out of that inner loop. Puts a great distance on him. Truex, who was gaining earlier in the carousel, doesn't seem to have that same strength as they go out of the carousel.
Yeah, Chase is using the mistakes of the past to help him right now. Think about the races that he's not been able to close out. He learned from those mistakes. Can he finish it off? It's only 5 to go. Interesting thing, though, as these 2 guys are trying to step up their speed, they've actually slowed down. They were 3rd and 4th fastest, not 1st and 2nd that last lap.
Well, this is the Chase Elliott the fans have been rooting for. This is the guy they expect to see on the racetrack, trying to close out his first win, trying to not make a mistake. Rick, hoping there's enough fuel left in that 9, left in that 78 to complete the last 4 laps.
That's the question right now. Does he have enough Tiger in the tank to make it all the way to the checkered flag? I don't think he's worried about fuel right now. He's got bigger fish to fry. And that biggest one of them all is Martin Truex Jr. Perfect laps for Chase Elliott as we head down to the checkers here at Watkins Glen International.
Still the same distance. Truex unable to gain as they go into the braking zone. Look at that 9 car turn into the inner loop. Incredible how they're using the curves and how those cars are working so well in that part of the racetrack. Chase gets a wide arc into the carousel, gets him a good drive off. Let's see what kind of runoff he gets here. Looks great to me.
Yeah, great run by Chase Elliott, doing a really good job. He's got to work with some lap traffic that's coming up. He's going to have to time it right to not catch that lap traffic in front of him in the wrong place. That could be a huge roll coming down here into turn 1, is finding a way to get to that lap traffic in the proper place.
Coming up on 3 laps to go, Chase Elliott having enough fuel, completely out of their mind now. These 2 are racing for the win. They are giving everything they have. Diving into turn number 1, the gap now 1 car length. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. has closed the gap, fighting for that lead.
The talk all season long has been about the big 3. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. Chase Elliott's trying to steal the thunder this afternoon in Watkins Glen. The battle for the lead, now separated by 2 car lengths on the backstretch.
Here they come back into the inner loop. The son of a legend trying to make a name for himself. Jumping over them curves. Both cars entering hard, using all the curbs. Chase again stretches just a little bit, maybe a car length through the inner loop, through the exit of the inner loop. Through the carousel, Martin closes in the middle, but Chase gains ground on exit.
A great recovery by Chase Elliott. He missed turn 1 and the beginning of the S's that lap. That allowed Martin Truex Jr. to close in. He cannot make those mistakes. If he does, Martin Truex Jr. now is close enough to pounce on it. So the mistake that you just made and in the corner that you're getting ready to come to, do not make it again. If you do, Martin Truex Jr. will take the lead from you.
2 laps to go, and Chase Elliott trying to join 4 others or be a part of 4 that have got their first win at Watkins Glen. Steve Park, Marcus Ambrose, AJ Allmendinger. They've done it. Can Chase Elliott finish it? 250 career wins for Hendrick Motorsport if he's able to win.
Hold your breath time at Watkins Glen. Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. Now they are closer together. Put the separation at 2 car lengths. Elliott, Truex, they've left the field. This race comes down to these 2 drivers right now headed up the back straightaway.
Truex is definitely putting the pressure on in turns 1 and up through the S's, but this is Chase Elliott's into the racetrack. Look at Truex makes a mistake right there and misses the exit of the inner loop. That is it. Right there, if Chase Elliott could just put together a lap and a half, he is going to win this race. Coming through the carousel to the corner exit, Chase is going to look in the mirror and see the distance to the 78. What a great feeling.
That's why we love racing, Junior. 2 guys going at it, forcing Truex Jr. into a mistake. you're right. Now the spotter's got to be telling him, hey, you got 5 car lengths, but he cannot take it too easy. You cannot relax. You still have to attack, but you have some room to back down just a little bit so you don't make a mistake.
And coming out onto the front stretch. The white flag in the air. 1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. 7 turns. He just needs to do 7 turns perfectly at Watkins Glen to grab his first career win. He goes wide through turn 1, the 78 coming up, closing the gap.
All clear, all clear.
Fans jumping up and down, yelling, screaming, losing their minds here at Watkins Glen. Can Elliott hang on? He's back to 2 car lengths in front of Truex as they leave the S's for the final time.
Almost giving up the lead in turn 1, but he's now got another comfortable lead as he breaks into the inner loop. Martin Truex charges hard, trying to gain that ground back. No mistakes by either driver here, but Chase Elliott a cleaner corner. Now it's about 4 car lengths there through the carousel. Chase Elliott almost home free. Truex wide in the corner.
He looks to be in great shape, but the mistake that he made in 1 again cannot be replicated here in turn 6.
Truex is out of fuel.
Truex is out. Now Chase can just cruise to victory lane.
His spotter lets him know.
He got 15 out the back already.
He's out of fuel. Chase Elliott comes out of turn number 7. The crowd roars. They're going to see for the first time Chase Elliott win in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Excellent. Yeah, baby, yeah! Hell yes! Thank you, thank you, thank you, yes! Run off drive, you're the man. Super proud of you. Super proud of you, boy. Hell yeah, baby, yeah! Great job, boys. Burn that son of a gun down, boys.
Right now, at the Dawsonville pool room, the bell is going to ring. They ring the siren when Bill Elliott won, and now they ring the siren when Chase Elliott wins. And look who he's looking at. His dad's up on the spotter stand.
I'm out of gas.
And he runs out of gas at the furthest place away from the start-finish line.
The hell of a birthday present right there, AG.
Bubba Wallace going by a good friend, Chase Elliott's. You see the 78 out of gas. He ran out of gas coming into turn 6. Still was able to finish second. Kyle Larson showing his pleasure. Everyone going by, congratulating the 22-year-old.
I need a push, baby. I need a push. Huh?
Chase Elliott wins in the Monster Energy Cup Series for the first time.
Oh, there you go. Chase Elliott up on ISM Vision. The field drives by. Gives him a thumbs up. Gives him a fender. A lot of happy smiles.
And he's still clapping inside the car. That moment presented by Sunoco, fueling victories all season long. He's going to celebrate a long time now. He'll need a push in, but it'll be the greatest push he's ever had in the Monster Energy Cup Series. Let's go to the winning crew chief. Oh, take a look at this. How about this? A 7-time champion. He's going to give him a push. His teammate at Hendrick Motorsports, and again, as I mentioned earlier, 250 wins for Hendrick Motorsports. And the 250th coming at the hands of Chase Elliott.
I got my man Jimmy Jam coming.
How about that? Well, I mentioned it was going to be the greatest push he's ever had. Coming from one of the greatest of all time, Jimmy Johnson, giving him a shove.
A hug for Alan Gustafson, and what a celebration for Chase Elliott, who finally, after so many tries, gets that first career win. The emotion, you could hear him after the checkered flag. He was emotional in there. Max Pappas in, the coach for William Byron. An incredible moment for him to win at a road course just like his dad, Bill, did for his first career win. Chase, I got to know the emotions of those final few laps as the 78 was trying to catch you.
Holy cow, what a thrill. Golly, I don't know what to say, just so thrilled, so emotional, so much relief. You know, working on 3 years and hadn't won one, and I came here with a great opportunity today and was able to get it done. But just thank you, thanks all the fans. You guys are rowdy after that checker flag. I hope all my buddies back home are ready to get rowdy tonight, because it's going to be a good one.
What did your dad say to you after the checkered flag, or what did he say to you during the race?
Well, he was really just spotting, you know, and doing kind of the normal spotter deal. And he was pretty encouraging those last couple laps, which was certainly helpful, and was able to get it done.
Were you worried about the 78 and the mistake in one? Were you thinking, oh, I've given it away?
Yeah, I started to wheel hop, and I knocked it out of gear to not spin out. And luckily had a big enough gap where he couldn't get me, but what a day.
You mentioned these fans. They all stood up when you won that stage. They cheered so loud. I don't think there's any question you're going to be the most popular driver this year.
That's the coolest damn thing I've ever seen. I just want y'all to know that, and very grateful. Thank you, and let's go get some more.
There you go, the fans, and as they told him on the radio right afterwards, the first of many. I believe he's got a date with his dad, Bill, in Victory Lane. Mr. Hendrick calling on the phone right now. Chase Elliott, your winner at Watkins Glen.
The door's open now. He got his first win. Look out. Chase Elliott, the 2014 Xfinity Series champion. We saw a year ago he got into a tuffle with Denny Hamlin at Martinsville, and we said right then his attitude had changed. He became hungrier, and we saw it today. The hunger was in the eyes of the driver of the 9, Chase Elliott. He gets his first career Monster Energy Cup Series win.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.